Good Thursday morning. It is a Thursday that, can we all be in agreement here that it's a Thursday that kind of feels like a Friday?
Kind of feels that way for me.
It feels...
It's another busy day for me, but at least I know tomorrow's supposed to be a little laid back.
Sure. I think that is the nice part of having like back-to-back busy days where it's like, even when you do have a semi-busy day, the next day it's like, oh, it's going to feel like cake. And there's no better day to feel that than Friday. But I was feeling like last night, I was like, this is a Wednesday that feels like a Thursday.
It's the Friday before I
get
out of
look
town.
at you, Joey Colbert, understanding the boy math, and which means that we are 14 days away, which means that we're 7 days away from being 7 days away, or we are one week away.
A touchdown away.
Well, that's how you have to think when you
away.
root for losing teams like I do. Hey, by the way, I'm Matt McMaster. You're listening to Gary and Matt here on 1620 The Zone. 1/3 of the crew is in the studio today. Jimmy is on paternity leave. He will be back, actually.
He'll be back in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. So we are 7 days away from being 7 days away of getting Jimmy Chavez back on.
You don't have Gary Sharp to go after you.
No. This is going to be absolutely unhinged in terms of the boy math and probably just some of the stupid things that I'll say, which is great because we actually have. So I did a lot of I don't want to say solo shows, but I had a lot of time in late February and March to host these shows by myself. Which, by the way, was absolutely wild considering the fact that I had only been on the job for 3 months.
Yeah.
And it was like the first 3 months of hosting daily radio 4 hours a day, where we are like much better right now, sitting where we're at 8 months into it, where we're very confident that the show won't completely fall apart.
A lot more experience.
Dealing with
it all.
But I had plenty of hours of just hosting the show on my own. And while Gary wasn't here to keep me in check, our incredible listening audience did a great job of sending me emails and YouTube chats and tweets when I did mess up, which I'm anticipating and hoping that everybody continues to do because it's great. And we're going to have an incredibly interactive show. But Gary, off the grid, on vacation, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego or Gary Sharp to say that? Well-deserved, much well-deserved. So he's going to be taking his little rest all the way up until we start the season. I think he'll be back next Friday.
Yeah, he'll be back next Friday for the less than 1 week countdown.
Yes. Do you know how many days away we'll be from when he comes back?
We are 1 week and 1 day away.
No, we'll be 6 days away. When he comes back, when Gary comes back, it'll be the Friday before the Thursday.
Oh, I thought you meant
Kansas City.
I thought you meant how many days?
No. When he comes back, at some point, the boy math will no longer be boy math.
It'll be 3 days.
We will just be. We'll just be 6 days away. This has been By the way, this has been like cultivating all the way since like day 80.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been in the process for quite a while. But Red Out Week, that'll be our very special 1620 The Zone, just kind of theater of the mind week where we are going to be everything Huskers, everything football. We're going to have some special guests. We're trying to get one locked down for Thursday. We'll see what happens. That person does have hardware. So a little hint in terms of who we're trying to get. And
like to hear that.
We were at the NBA Awards yesterday. At least I was. You weren't there. But I did book a guest for the beginning of Red Out Week, which will be next Thursday.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
So very special guest as well. I think I'll probably say his name during the show today at some point. So that'll be the kickoff. We'll have some special interviews. I think there's some talks of maybe doing a roundtable here or there. So we'll have to figure all that out. There'll be a lot of planning that will go into it. But starting next Thursday, and it's not just our show, all the shows will be doing Red Out Week and having that leading up to, I mean,
the Thursday.
Here's my thing. I mean, this Cincinnati game has got to be one of the most. It's by far the most anticipated game that I've ever been a part of.
Yep.
There's plenty of anticipation. Like the 2020 season, I love how everybody's just kind of in agreement right now that the 2020 season just doesn't exist. That it just didn't happen. Like we just completely ignore it.
It just feels like a flyover season. Just not. I mean, there's.
Well, yeah.
It's just conference games, and the Big Ten started later in the season. I think early October went into early December in terms
You
of
just
conference
can't.
play.
You just can't.
It was just
when you
weird.
don't have 12 games and you don't have your non-con lead up and you're just playing conference games.
Mhm.
I just don't think you can fully count that season. Also, too, no fans, which is college football,
Mostly
and I
cutouts in the
can't
crowd.
and I've heard stories, but the things that the players and the coaches individually had to go through in terms of the protocols and what they could do and what
Yeah.
they couldn't do. It was just so different, which is so disappointing considering the fact that Northwestern football had the greatest season in their team's history during 2020, it's funny. It's good for teams like Nebraska and Penn State too, who just had incredibly disappointing seasons. You're kind of just like, man, it's, it is what it is. And then you had some teams who actually had great years where you're like, all right, I don't put a full asterisk on it, but it was a weird year. But that wasn't any anticipation for that other than thank God we have football, right?
Mhm.
And then 2021, there was some hype going in for sure to that Illinois game. But that Illinois game was more so like, oh, Nebraska's going to kick Illinois' ass.
Yeah, and then it just went downhill from that first game, especially when that Cam Taylor Britt
that is
punt
the
return
play,
happened.
right?
That really set the tone for the entire season. That one,
I mean, there was
the so-called best 3-9 team season where Nebraska just lost almost every game by one possession.
People do forget that Minnesota game and that Purdue game in that 2021 season too when they say that sentence, because they played terrible in those games, despite the fact that they should have beaten Michigan State, should beaten Michigan and Michigan State that season, and Iowa. So that season though, there was, I mean, the anticipation going into it was definitely like, all right, you're going to kick Illinois' ass. 2022 was all right, you're going to kick Northwestern's ass. It wasn't like, and there was, I would say, more anticipation for 2022 because the chips were all on the line. It was like, all right, this is go time. This is the year. NIL had really, really kicked in there where you're legitimately we're paying for guys could come in and be a high impact. O'Shawn Mathis kind of being like the crown jewel of that all. And then I think 2023 with the Minnesota game.
Minnesota and Colorado back-to-back on
the
road.
But that Minnesota game in particularly, you were like, all right, this is exciting and it's a new era, but you didn't really know what it was going to be like. And there were so many question marks, especially on that the front seven of that defense, kind of a lot like what we have now, where you're like, all right, here we go. We're just sitting in the seat. And then last year, a ton of anticipation for Colorado, but that was week 2, not week 1.
Yeah.
Now we are like, in terms of week ones, man, like this is it. And
this is coming off of a bowl win season. Nebraska won
the
first bowl game since 2015.
I think it's way more than that. And I think I had this conversation, was alluding to it with Brandon Vogel. Like, I think the players have always kind of been, never, in terms of our hype and in terms of Nebraska fans and Nebraska media drinking the Kool-Aid, the players have never been the problem. Like it's always like there's a lot of talent. There's been talent on Nebraska football for the last 10 years. Okay. Now I think there's more talent in this team than there has been in much recent memory. But I think you can kind of go back and say, all right, what's different? Like you have the players again this year. What's different than the years prior? And I think this one is the coaching.
Yep.
And it's, you have a guy like Mike Eckler, who we're going to talk plenty about this show. You have a guy like Daniel Holgerson, who we're going to talk plenty about during the show. And even on top of that, where John Butler was in his 30-year career has only been a defensive coordinator in college football once. You got Phil Snow back there, and you got that wily veteran, and you got Matt Rule, who is just a defensive coach, and in particularly a defensive line coach who, it was funny hearing Phil Snow be like, yeah, Terry Braden's got the toughest job because, Matt's a defensive line guy. So he's always on his butt about things. And so I think that when you combine, you have the 5-star quarterback who's all about the brand and who's everywhere in terms of, locally and in the media and doing a great job of being the face of the program. But then you also have just these coaches who it's not, they're buddy and they're best friends and they're, they trust each other and there's loyalty. No, you have these coaches who they got pelts on the wall Dana Holgerson's got a ton of pelts on the wall. Mike Eckler, from a special teams perspective, has pelts on the wall. Phil Snow, from a coordinator perspective and working with Matt Rule, has pelts on the wall. And so you combine that with, the increased amount of talent on this team. It's like this Cincinnati game, you got people saying, and I don't know if I fully agree with it, is the most important game of the season. And it's the first game of the season.
It's the first game of the season and as a Power 4 opponent.
And also, too, like I do worry so much about losing this game, not from you just go 0-1 and you may not be as good as you think. I worry it from just a fan disengagement perspective of, man, I don't think anyone is doubting that big red overreaction is going to be insane if they end up losing to Cincinnati. And I don't think anyone is denying that the next day's show will be absolutely crazy if they end up dropping that game. And so the anticipation, I don't think, it's been higher in Nebraska football history, but if we're talking from 2020 to now, it's never been higher. And I think that the only way that it could get higher is if they end up going 8-4 or 9-3 this season, and then next season you wait. You just wait until how much people are hyped heading into that one. Talk about anticipation. The most anticipated podcast in probably podcasting history happened yesterday. Joey, did you listen to the New Heights?
I didn't listen to the entire thing. I mean, I listened to snippets that were posted on the social media, but I saw
you and Connor Happer both.
Because I have no interest in spending 100 minutes. It was an hour and 44 minutes.
Well, so the episode was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh, 2 hours?
The Taylor Swift portion of it was an hour and 40.
Okay, so that's what I saw. Yeah, that's so what I found on.
You like replay. most of everybody probably. Now I haven't seen a stat. Let me see if
I saw 1.3 million tune in live.
Live?
Yeah. And people were uncertain if that was going to break the YouTube live stream at some point, just with so many people tuning in to the album announcement, and then Taylor talking about her experience as a football fan, as a new football fan,
yes,
learning the game from Travis Kelce's perspective.
So, couple of things here. Full transparency. I did not finish it.
You plan on doing that later today and then post a reaction video?
I did not. Hell no. I'm not doing a take 5 on Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and the New Heights podcast at all. I got through an hour of it. I don't know. It was fine. It was cool. Like it was one of those things where I think we were very excited to listen to it, but I don't think anything, like, I don't know what they could have said or what they could have done to have made breaking news or anything like that, or for everybody to freak out. Like, obviously, okay, like she talked about her getting her masters
buying
her master albums back or whatever, like getting her original music back, which I mean, I'm not a music guy, so that was kind of interesting to hear about, like, how, great that was for her.
Yeah.
I loved actually her talking about how big of a football fan she is now, because I do think that is one of those antidotes and stories that come from an incredibly influential person that grows the game of football. And I'm all for having more people watching football and rooting for football. Mm. Football is one of those things where there are definitely sports that have barriers to entry. God, I'm a horse racing fan. I can't imagine trying to get into horse racing and picking up a race sheet and trying to get into it.
I like how much invested she was in draft night last season. She talked about how she went.
Oh, sure, for
when they drafted Xavier Worthy.
But like my thing about it though is that football is a beautiful sport, and if you just want to just sit down and watch a couple games on Sunday, you can definitely do that. And if you just want to say, hey, I'm a Bears fan, or I'm a Packers fan, or I'm a Nebraska fan, and all you do is you really just pay attention to Saturdays and Sundays, but you live and die with what the score is, there is zero wrong with that. Now, if you want to be a sicko like me and get into expected points added and DVOA and, how does Jordan Love throw from the left hash as compared to the right hash, and his completion percentage and QBR rate from the middle of the field compared to outside on the sidelines, it is totally up to your jurisdiction to do that, right? If you want to do that, and for me, I mean, sometimes I feel like, and you and me both, because it's our job, we kind of have to do that. But if you want to be that guy at the bar who just knows all that stuff, and that's like your hobby and you love it, like you can make watching football and following football and just knowing the statistics your just job hobby, and that's incredible. And I think that's why it's one of the best sports, where it's like, I don't know, man, if you want to get into UFC fighting, like you have to watch a lot.
Yeah.
You have to watch a lot of MMA and listen to a lot of MMA stuff. And so I thought that was really cool, her talking about
You have
that.
to do that with every sport. If you want to kind of know everything, you got to kind of pay attention and know certain areas.
Sure. But football and basketball are very rudimentary in the fact that if you just sit down and you watch a game, and if you don't have a ton of interest, you could just kind of pick a team and be like, all right, I want my team to score more points, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch the quarterback, and I'm going to watch him throw the ball, and big play, not big play. Look at that big hit. Oh, okay, that was good. Like you don't really need to delve in and super analyze everything. I think that's why hockey's great too. You don't need to know anything about what's going on with hockey.
Yeah.
They're just flying around the ice and hitting each other and throwing the puck into the net. And so I thought that was a really cool anecdote by her talking about it. Other than that, though, kind of bored.
So are you going to still watch? Are you still going to finish it then?
Yeah.
I
am. I'm just bored. I'm just bored listening to it.
It was kind of,
it's great.
It was great. It was great for them to share that experience, just her learning the game through Travis Kelce's.
That was the only real sport thing about. Well, okay.
Different coverages, the chain gain and all.
Full transparency though. Only an hour in. So maybe they do talk about DVOA or EPA or any of that stuff, or like, and I'm saying that very sarcastically. I know they won't. It was just a lot of music. And at one point I thought they were going to have to get a room because they were flirting with each other so much, which was really funny. I don't think it's fake. By the way, I know that for the longest time that everybody thought that was a fake relationship or a staged relationship for the cameras. I don't think it is.
No, it's not.
I ain't Dr. Love, but I can tell you when people probably are faking it, and I don't think they are. And on top of that, like it was when Taylor and Jason Kelce would interact with each other, that was pretty cool. So look, if you want to be a part of the wave of probably 100 million people, if you want to be a part of the wave of 100 million people that are going to download this podcast and listen to this podcast, and if you're a Taylor Swift fan, by the way, this was a Taylor Swift fan podcast. This was not a Jason Kelce, Travis Kelce podcast. This was totally about her tour, which kudos to her, hearing about the acupuncture, everything like that, and like what she had to go through in the tour and so on and so forth. Like that was kind of cool. It was just like, go ahead, listen to it. It's fine. I don't think it's like the groundbreaking pod, but I never anticipated it to be the groundbreaking pod.
It might be more
thought
just,
it would be.
I think it's just more people being interested in the relationship between Taylor and Travis more.
Did they reveal how they met?
I don't think they did, but
why are we keeping that because
you kind of get a little snippet of just how things are between the two since they met up.
I'm trying to see because there's a CBS. I did not read the CBS article. Oh, so by the way, too, if you want to talk about how big of a deal this thing was, it's number one on the CBS ticker in terms of stories written. It's also number one on the ESPN ticker, which is wild to me, because if this was being published in July or June, that would make all the sense in the world. It is actually, did they take it off here? They had 7 things you need to know about the Travis Kelce. Here it is. It's one of the pictured stories here on CBS Sports of Taylor Swift on New Heights podcast. 7 things we learned for her appearance with Jason Kelce. So I guess they just met. Wow. Okay. So essentially they're just saying they just met because Travis said on his podcast, hey, please come to a game, or hey, I want to date you, or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
I
that was
kind of
it.
remember
But I
that.
want the first like
First,
he took me to Red
interaction.
Lobster. He, got me the seafood delight, and we, we sat there for 5 hours, and the wait staff had to ask us to leave. Like I don't know, wasn't as somebody who frequents Bravo TV way too much and enjoys. I do enjoy Keeping Up with the Kardashians episode every once in a while. There wasn't enough juice for me in it, but hey, it happened. It was fun. It was cool. Good for them. They seem like they're in love. I imagine that the poly market or whoever the hell bets on these crazy things that could happen within sports, I bet the odds for them to get married definitely plummeted in terms of being in the minuses. So congrats to Travis. Congrats to Taylor. Congrats to football. And congrats to Roger Goodell. And kudos to all the production staff that shoved that woman down our throats for the 2023 season. And even though we definitely got enough of her, ended up being pretty successful for them in growing the game. And so, dope. Good for them.
It was nice for them.
That's all we're going to talk about. The whole 4 hours. All we're going to talk about is the New Heights podcast. I know why are you handing me this? I got it already.
Yeah.
Look, I was folding it up, baby. We got a really good lineup for you today. We got Sarah Baker Hansen at 8:30, talking about all the food. We're actually talking about, I had a food journey yesterday. I ended up going to Seafood Unity.
Yeah, you were telling me about that yesterday before you left.
Seafood Unity, did not know what it was. It was I guess a Cajun crawfish boil spot. I have never eaten, well, actually, that's not true. I've eaten crawfish one time before. I ate it yesterday, and it was with Jazz Shelley and Isabel Bourne outside of Tipsy Tina's in Lincoln. That's one hell of a story. We don't have to fully dive into that, but that was really, really fun. So I had it with Michael Severe yesterday, who will be in on Monday hosting the show with us. So we got a really good line. So Gary's going to be out on from today, tomorrow, and then all the way up until next Friday. Monday, we got Michael Severe. Tuesday, we'll have Caleb Henry. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we'll have Mike Schaefer. We're working on who's going to come in tomorrow. So it should be a really good slate of shows. And then we'll get the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Gary Sharp, back in the one seat on Friday. So Sarah Baker Hansen, talk a little about my crawfish boil at 8:30. Then the always impeccable, always undeniable, always just a beautiful man that we have to be a little bit careful when we describe him because we don't want to hype him up a little bit too much. Mr. Ski Sipple at 9:20, and then Brian Edwards will join us at 9:40 to give us all of his picks. I think we are leading up to, like, Brian's going to be giving us more and more overs and unders for the college football season to give you more futures. I'm going to text him. I kind of want to hear his Heisman Trophy outlook, just because I think that the Heisman Trophy race this year is actually going to be quite incredible, probably the most open we'll have in some time. I mean, I guess last year was pretty. Nah, not really. I mean, you had Genty and Hunter, and that was kind of it. And I don't think anybody else was really breaking through that ceiling. But this year, I mean,
it'll be interesting to see
well,
because you got a couple guys who are going to be on that list.
I mean,
you'll get Arch Manning, you'll get Jeremiah Smith, maybe Ryan Williams from Alabama, but there'll be a couple other quarterbacks.
Look at the Heisman.
Cade Klubnik from Clemson.
That's one hell of a bet. We're going to talk about Clemson today because I do think that they're getting disrespected, and I do think that currently what Clemson is going through probably might boost the odds that they end up switching conferences. But I mean, I think we already know that's kind of going to happen, and they made that deal back in a couple of months ago. I think it was all the way back in April, where 2030 is kind of when their breakout day or their what they have to pay to get out of the ACC drops drastically, which I mean, kind of prompted people to say, and I don't think it's wrong, we kind of have this version of college football all the way up until 2030, and then we'll probably start our transition into a super league, which we're just going to keep saying that until it happens because, I mean, I think we all know in the back of our head that's where we're going. Arch Manning plus 750.
Ooh.
Garrett Nussmeier plus 900. Cade Klubnik plus 900. Jeremiah Smith plus 1,200. Drew Aller plus 1,800. And then Ty Simpson plus 2,000, which is incredible. He just got named the starter at Alabama, which incredible story with Ty Simpson. Since they started the quarterback ratings in 2010, I was reading the scan on him. Since 2010, I think it was on the 24/7 database. He was a former 5-star quarterback who's been with Alabama for 3 years. And now this is his 4th year. He's finally playing. No quarterback who's been on a team, no 5-star quarterback who's been on a team for 3 years and not started a game has stayed with that one team. So Ty Simpson is the first ever like highly touted QB in this transfer portal era to say, no, I'm going to stay put and I'm going to kind of ride the wave here of being the Alabama backup. And he did have an opportunity early on to compete with Jalen Milroe, and he lost count on that battle and was just his backup. But he will be the starting quarterback for Bama. And then you got Carson Beck at plus 2,200. And then you got Sam Levitt at plus 2,000. It's not terrible odds for Levitt, but in the Big 12 here. So really good show. Hey, if you want to email us, and I think we've already gotten a couple of emails here, don't forget to hit us up on the Equitable Bank inbox. Equitable Bank, they take banking personally. Also, if you want to get in hold with us on the show, if you want to call into the show, do not hesitate. Love caller radio. 402-951-6020, the zone. That is the Prairie Flower Casino hotline. Sarah Baker Hansen at 8:30. Steve Sipple at 9:20. Brian Edwards at 9:40. That's the lineup, which is powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Hey, man. I don't know if you were clamoring for more Matt Rule walk and talk videos. I don't know if you were clamoring for more.
He does like to do that.
Connor Happer and Josh Hudson had to pull this. Matt Rule give off a lot of Guy Fieri vibes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Diners
He does.
driving.
So if you were dying for another one of those videos, you got one yesterday. And it did kind of reveal, was one of his more interesting ones. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the single digits going on in Lincoln. We'll talk about a tweener on the roster. I'm not going to tell you who the tweener is. I know you know who the tweener is because I kind of brought him up. But there's a tweener, and his name's not Ramir Johnson. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Gary and Matt here on 1620 The Zone. We are just 2 weeks away from the start of the 2025 football season, where the Nebraska Cornhuskers will be taking on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Hey, if you're going to be at the game, you can go to 1620thezone.com right now and sign up to enter yourself with an opportunity to win 2 tickets to the Ultimate Blur Tailgate. Join Blur for a pregame party inside Kauffman Stadium. It's just steps away from Arrowhead when the Huskers will be taking on the Bearcats August 28th, 2025. Enter right now, 1620thezone.com to get 2 tickets to the Ultimate Blur Tailgate. Former Georgia quarterback Jake Fromm just picked up a job at Sterling, Seacrest, and Pritchard as a client advisor. Massive fumble for State Farm.
I cannot believe it.
I mean, State Farm had this thing wrapped up.
Such an opportunity for him to be on some endorsement commercials. I mean, he's not an NFL quarterback anymore, so I get that from that perspective. He wouldn't be on the commercials, but I mean, still
Allstate though. I mean, there was rumblings that Allstate and maybe Farmers Insurance had the opportunity to go and grab him, but it seemed like it was almost guaranteed that Jake Fromm was going to end up being a State Farm guy. But massive pickup for Sterling, Seacrest, and Pritchard. They must have an incredible NIL program to pick up a prospect like that. Which, by the way, this used to be the great thing of college football. If you don't remember, back in the day, it used to be cool that these guys would go, like, not all these guys would go to the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would go and they would be well known, and they try their hand at the league, not get into the league, and then they end up just working at a regular old job. And then you're kind of like, but even the guys who weren't even like that well known, like the 4th wide receiver or the 3rd tight end, or like, if you were a fan of that team, you were aware of their existence, but then all of a sudden they were working at US Bank. And you're like, yeah, that guy is working at US Bank and he's on our team and he's incredible. And hey, when we go to the golf outings, he's the absolute athlete of the group and he leads us to victory. Bring that back in college football. More college football, all this NIL and all this money that they're making and all these guys going to camp. Screw that. I want more men and college football players with regular jobs. So, hey, Jake Fromm finally becomes an insurance agent. We'll see how far behind Stinson Bennett will be behind him in terms of getting those jobs. Will be a massive fumble for State Farm if they don't get one of those 2 guys. Speaking about Georgia, I don't know why I said that. That's not a very good transition at all. Matt Rule did a walk and talk yesterday.
Yeah.
Looking like he was doing the NTV Cribs. If you missed it, they're good. They're good. I don't know if he changes his voice on the walk and talks or he changes his voice at the press conferences, because his voice is different. Like when he talks at the press conferences, I used to think he was being candid and just kind of being normal and talking normally. But now I don't know if he's trying harder to sound normal or sound younger when he's doing the walk and talks. I don't know. It's a different tone.
I guess I haven't really watched a good chunk of these things, but I guess comparing that to his media appearances, he would sound a lot more relaxed, more enjoying what he's doing, like when he's walking, talking.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he doesn't enjoy doing the press conferences, but like you could expect.
I think he enjoys doing them. I don't think he could stand up there for that long.
I think for the press conferences, you have to be prepared for all the questions you're going to be asked.
Sure.
For the 15 minutes of time.
He's well, that's the one thing. They're not 15 minutes. He
15 or half an hour.
Dude, they're half an hour. They are.
Depending how long.
It's like a Monday or a Tuesday presser. They're long. If it's a Thursday presser, he's pretty much in and out. Saturday depends. Saturday can be a lot quicker. Saturday could also get pretty long. I think you can't convince me that he doesn't love a press conference. Even if he told me, even if he looked at me, no. But I'm just saying in general. Even if he looked at me with his own 2 eyes and he told me, Matt, I don't enjoy a press conference, I'd be like, I don't think I believe you. There's no way that you can be, because he's great at them.
Yeah.
He's incredible at them. There's no way you can be that good and do that for that long and not enjoy at least like a sliver of that time. But anyway, he did another walk and talk. I think it's pretty clear that which ones are for the recruits and which ones are for the fans. I
Very
think
clear.
the Starbucks and nutrition ones clearly for recruits. Clearly. You don't
For those
come on,
coffee drinkers.
come on. You don't show me that cafeteria and that Starbucks and everything like that. You're telling me that's not for to get more kids in your building, which I don't know how many football players are really clamoring to get Starbucks every single day. But hey, I'm a Dunkin' guy. So it's kind of is what it is. Or host coffee. But did a walk and talk. Talked about the single digit numbers and what the importance is. Now, if you didn't know already, but Matt Rule does the single digit numbers in terms of he has the team vote on who should deserve or who should be able to pick who wears a single digit, because back in the day, he did not enjoy that there'd be guys in his program who would play for an extended period of time. They would want number 2, and then, oops, we gave number 2 to a recruit, because he actually said in the video, he goes, Coach, it's between, like, I'm thinking about going to the school. If you give me number 2 right now, I'll commit, which is a wild sentence to hear, considering the fact that nowadays, whenever you talk numbers with recruits, it's not about what jersey number they have, but the amount of money that you're going to put in their bank account, which is, it's always fun because when we just go back and we get really sad about the glory days of college football, how much fun it was and what it used to be. Regardless, gave out a couple more numbers yesterday. Number 2 goes to Ja'Cory Barney. Love it. Fast number. Number 4 goes to Janeran Bonner, which when that happened, and a lot of people found out, the overwhelming response to that was good for Janeran. Good for him, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of people anticipated that he would end up getting a single-digit number, and so good for that guy. We'll talk about Janeran Bonner a little bit later in the show, because I think it's a very interesting prospect in terms of what his career has been at Nebraska. Number 9. So this was weird. So Vincent Shavers was number 1 in the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah.
I think, what was his number 4? I think he might have been 19 or something like that
during
the regular season.
Wasn't too sure.
Then he ends up getting 1 during the Pinstripe Bowl because Jamari Butler just gave it to him, which was really funny, which Gary did kind of claim. He was like, I think that ruined the single-digit tradition. In a way, it kind of did. But, they're still sticking with it.
Yeah.
So he's at number 9. I love it for him. V9. Talk about a sick nickname. V9.
This came out of the blue from you.
Well, yeah. I mean, we just say it all the time. We just don't have enough nicknames. And just V9 is a sick nickname. Now, V8 would have been dope. That would have been cool. But we're not going to have that, unfortunately. And then Javen Wright, number 0. Now, this is really funny. First off, I love Javen Wright. Met Javen Wright multiple times. Talked to him. Stand-up guy. Stand-up dude. It's been... If you've known him, and there's been, and this is why coaches get a little emotional when talking about him, which is why Matt Rule always talks about, hey, I don't really watch the player press conferences anymore, but I always make sure to watch Javen Wright. Like, that's a dude that a lot of people love and a lot of people respect, and he's just a really good guy. And it's just sucked to see him go through the injuries he's gone through, just because it hasn't even been fully football related. It's like medical related, and it's just... it's happened multiple times, and it's each one is more heartbreaking than the one before. And it was great to see him back on the field last season, even if it wasn't a limited capacity. And now this season, as a 7th-year player, he's going to have a massive role on that defense, in that front 7 as a linebacker. And so, number 0, I love him. I hate his number. It's
such an unusual number to see.
I can't stand a 0. I don't like linebackers with 0.
Yeah.
All right. What did I say yesterday? If you're an O-lineman, I want you at 60. If you're an edge, I want you at 90.
Yep.
If you're a wide receiver, I want you at 80.
80 and 90.
Give me a 22.
It's all over the place.
Even the quarterbacks. I don't like the single digits quarterbacks either.
Well, and here's the
I like a 10, I like an 11, I like a 12, and I like a 15.
Here's the thing, Matt.
Or an 18.
We're waiting on one final single digit.
So there we go.
Number.
You're burying the lead here. Okay. We're gonna get there. So Javen Wright, even though yesterday I clearly said that I don't like linebackers or zeros, he doesn't listen to the show. He took a 0. Barney's got a fast number with 2. Janeran Bonner, good for you. 4 is going to look good on him. V9 running around all over the field. Vincent Shaver's gonna. They put him in the right situations, and when they talk about John Butler and how aggressive he is, we'll definitely get into that conversation. Not today or tomorrow, but next week when we have Severe and Schaefer and Caleb on, because I think that pressure on the defensive end is going to be very interesting, not only from who's going to end up getting that pressure, but how do they get pressure consistently. And when they talk about the aggressiveness of the defense, immediately I think of Vincent Shavers. And I think that he's going to have, that's going to be a great role for him to fill and hopefully end up getting a couple of sacks and tackles for loss. But as you alluded to, Joey, there is one number left. That is the number 1. Nobody has taken the number 1. Nobody is elected to be 1. I think to a lot of people, it's shocking that 9 players have been selected. And nobody has decided to take numero uno. I think to some people putting the pieces together, Dylan Raiola, his high school number was number 1. It would make sense from an optics perspective. They've given out the 9 numbers. There's one guy left who all offseason long we've been saying he's the leader of the team and he's grown as a leader of the team. And this is the ultimate this is the ultimate sign of leadership amongst your peers, that you get voted to have the single digit. I'm here to tell you that I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think he's going to take number 1. I do not think that Dylan Raiola is going to be number 1. 15 is important to him, man. Like, yeah, 15's his number.
Connections with his favorite athlete.
No, I don't even think it's that, because he wears number 15 for Tim Tebow and not for Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. It's we've gotten to the point where in Nebraska football, when you think of 15 currently, you think of Dylan Raiola. All respect to Tommy Frazier.
You said currently.
Currently, right now, when you think of number 15, you think of Dylan Raiola. Tell you right now, the two biggest jerseys that I saw when I was in Lincoln regularly was Keisei Tominaga 30 and Dylan Raiola 15. There are a lot of kids out there who went out and they bought number 15 jerseys because they're a Dylan Raiola fan. And I'm sure there are plenty of kids out there who during fan day or during whatever, because Dylan has been out in the boot all year long, went up and they got their number 15 jersey signed. It's more than just, hey, these are just digits on the back of my jersey. Yeah. This is like almost a fabric of Dylan Raiola's being. I would be shell-shocked, stunned, if he ended up not being number 15 next season. And I don't think anybody should take it anyway. Like, I think some people might look at it and be like, how did the quarterback of your team, the second-year quarterback, the dude who's supposed to be the face of the program, how did he not get voted amongst his teammates to have this honor? And does he think he's above the honor if he, denied it, or if he told people, hey, don't vote for me or whatever? Simple as this. We are in the era of brands. We are in the era of money and NIL and, some things that mattered back, 10, 15 years ago don't matter as much now. And there are things now that matter way more than what they were 15 years ago. One of those things is building a brand and being recognizable and, continuing. And also too, like, just, I think out of a respect thing too, of everybody who went out and bought a 15 jersey, are you really, like, what do you think is going to happen if Dylan Raiola switches to a number 1 jersey? There's going to be plenty of people who probably going to have to go back out and get a number 1 jersey because they want to support their quarterback.
I could see that point.
And so it's just one of those things where he is 15. That is his number. That is, man, I don't know how many numbers from last year's team that aren't single digits that you can fully go, all right, like if I give you number 17, you're going to tell me it's Go ahead. Say it. You know it.
Ja'Cory
Barney.
Okay.
That's pretty synonymous. If I give you number 62, though, I don't know how many people are gonna tell you that, oh yeah, that's Ben Scott. Like it's just one of those things where there's just not that many. Like if I give you number 48, right? How many people are really gonna know that's MJ Sherman? Right now, number 7 last year was like Malcolm Hartzog, right?
Yeah.
But I think we know that because it's single digit. 6 was Tommy Hill, single digit. But in terms of those double digit numbers, it's a little weird. So it's 90 was James Williams. Maybe people know that.
So,
but 15 is like when I say 15, you're like, that's Dylan's number.
Who would you think would get the number 1?
Great question. Emmett.
Jersey. Emmett.
I think Emmett's I think that'd be sick for him.
That'd be he's a great candidate.
21-1. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
He's the number 1 running back. I mean, you can make the argument that Emmett Johnson's probably the most important player on this team. Seriously. Just from we're very skeptical. I'm still incredibly skeptical of what they have behind him.
On the run game.
And honestly, if we're talking like, what is the one player you'd be the most uncomfortable with outside of Dylan of getting an injury? It for sure, without a doubt, be Emmett. So I think of his importance. And also, too, that's a guy that's, shown his chops as being another, like wherever Dylan has been, Emmett's been there as well. So he's been right at like to Dylan's secretariat. Emmett Johnson has been the sham. He's just kind of been around him right there. And he's been the face of the program as well. And so I think that'd be a good shot. Another one. If it's not Emmett, I'd have to think about it. If it's not Emmett,
would you give it to Heinrich Haarberg?
Ooh, Joey.
Even though he's number 10.
Yeah, I would give it to Heinrich Haarberg. I definitely would. I think, you know what? That'd be dope if they gave it to Heinrich Haarberg. I think I'm Team Haarberg in terms of getting number 1. The Carney kid, everything he's been through. In terms of what he kind of like, I'm the one who asked Mickey Joseph about him at a press conference, and he laughed about a quarterback on his roster, wasn't even allowed in the meeting rooms, to working his way up the quarterback depth chart, past Chubba Purdy, past Jeff Sims, becoming the starting quarterback, then having to take a back seat last year to then now making this position change, which a lot of people are excited for him. He is the embodiment, really.
He's made a lot of sacrifice.
Isn't he the embodiment? I mean, Heinrich Haarberg is what is everything right about college football. He is the epitome of the last traditional college football players.
Trusting the process, sticking with the system.
Hell of an athlete, grew up.
Being a good mentor for the newcomers.
Went to his hometown school, had an idea of what he was going to be. That idea didn't work out, doubted. People didn't think he could do it. In an era where everybody just kind of gives up and goes to greener pastures or think the pastures are greener elsewhere, he continued to stay at the school, even through a coaching change, trusted his training, trusted the people who are developing him, and now is an incredibly recognizable name on a team that I think we're anticipating might be good this year, And like that will be, and I remember like Matt Rule talking about last year when he invited the previous year's seniors to the Pinstripe Bowl of like, man, this is like this is for them. Like I wanted to win it for them. I wanted to be at a bowl game for Ty Robinson. I wanted to be at a bowl game for Nash Huntmaker. And like to see like a guy like Timmy Bleekrode, who had like been through the ups and downs of that program to then be at the Pinstripe Bowl. Like that was cool. Heinrich Haarberg is still a part of that, like that true era of Husker football.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like, going through the ups and downs. Be cool if it was cool if it was Haarberg. We're gonna, right before we go to break real quick, I want to read this comment. Caden in the YouTube TV says, I'd be surprised if number 1 wasn't Dylan. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'd be shocked the other way. I'd be shocked the other way if number 1 went to Dylan. I think Dylan is number 15.
Just considering how much
15... He goes, by the way, did you really say Emmett is the most important player on the team? Arguably over Dylan. Come on now. I'm just saying, you could make the argument. I'm not saying I'm making the argument. I'm not saying I think that, but like in terms of like what you have behind both of those groups, right?
Yeah.
And how important running the football is going to be this season. I think the passing offense is going to be great. Okay. I really do. But I don't think you can go ahead and abandon the run game and be like, all right, we're just going to fully depend on us on Nebraska passing the ball, and that's kind of a reality that you might have to go to if you don't have a guy like Emmett Johnson. If we're saying that Mekhi Nelson or Quinton Ives or Connor Booth or Isaiah Mosey doesn't just burst on the scene and become this great running back. So Dylan is the most important player. Emmett Johnson, without a doubt, number 2. For sure, number 2.
He's the most important guy in his position group.
Oh, by far.
Just establishing that run game for the Huskers. And that's been kind of in their pedigree for all this time.
Got a good show. SBH at 8:30. Steve Sipple at 9:20. Brian Edwards at 9:45. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Gary Matt here on 1620 The Zone. You got a favorite clothing brand?
Nah, I never really thought of it. I mean, in terms of what type of clothing, like sporting wise, or just casual wear, or
say just regular wear. Just regular. Like, do you just have a brand where you're like, you see it and you're like, man, like, I will always wear a pair of sweatpants for them, or I always put on a sweatshirt for them, or it's like if they have these types of shirts, like I'm gonna buy them. You have like an in particularly favorite one?
I mean, I will say for polo shirts, I like the Travis Matthews shirts.
Oh, good.
Those
good
are nice and comfortable.
I like Callaway. You ever have those Callaway?
I think I had
shirts?
I think I had a couple.
I feel like they're incredibly underrated.
Yeah,
like,
they're pretty
very
nice.
breathable. It's an interesting question just because I think that I think that we all have if you go and look through your closet, there is definitely one brand that has to be disproportionately in there as opposed to other brands. And maybe you do it consciously, but maybe you do it unconsciously because it's just for whatever reason, when that fabric hits your skin, it just hits it different than any other like clothes that you have. I'd be curious if more people are aware of if they have a favorite brand and if they know what that favorite brand is.
And I wear tons of different brands. I mean, I'll wear Nike socks.
See,
Under Armour shoes and
shoes. I'm all Nike. Shoes up. Well, actually, that's not true because I'm wearing Steph Curry shoes right now. But like almost always, if I'm buying, because if they're just comfy and they make me taller.
And that's what I do at the end of the day. I just put on whatever clothes that whatever
close your eyes and you just grab a bunch of clothes,
whatever is comfortable. I should.
What is your morning like? What are you when you wake up and you get dressed? Like, what are you thinking?
Just a random, just a random t-shirt and cargo shorts.
That's it.
Yeah,
you and Jack Mitchell will get along.
Yeah,
just great.
Yeah, that's what matters. Just whatever's comfortable.
Am I in the wrong? I mean, I really
fitting for the weather.
As much as people may not believe it if they're watching on our YouTube stream, which by the way, The Zone TV on YouTube.com, 1620 The Zone. Is that that's the name of the YouTube channel? I think about it for sure. I would say, and this is not because we are having this conversation, but I think Under Armour would probably be my favorite brand. It's just comfortable. Yep. Now, like from a brand and like promotional perspective and optics perspective and just how popular they are, definitely not the most popular, but I don't think I've ever worn like an Under Armour hoodie or quarter zip or shirt or short and I wasn't comfortable. I bring all this up because something pretty important happened yesterday. I think it was actually 2 days ago. Tennessee switched from Nike to Adidas. In 2014, Tennessee was an Adidas brand. They were clothed by Adidas. And then them, along with Notre Dame, left Adidas for different brand deals. Notre Dame went to Under Armour. Tennessee went to Nike. Tennessee now back. They signed a deal. Let me look it up here real quick. I think it's $20 million a year. Let me get the exact years here. It is an 11. No, sorry. Let me look that up, Joey. I don't know how many years it is, but they're getting about $20 million a year. So that's the deal. Tennessee is now going to become the flagship program of Adidas. This is very relevant, though, to Nebraska football because, as everybody knows, Nebraska football or just the Nebraska athletics program is an Adidas school. All the jerseys, all of the shirts, all of the shoes, all of the branded stuff is Adidas wear. I personally love Adidas. I'm a sweatpants man. Everybody knows I wear sweatpants and a hoodie basically every day. Adidas sweatpants are elite. You can get Adidas sweatpants with stripes. You can get Adidas pants without stripes. I actually don't know if there's a valuation here on it. It's a 10-year deal. So maybe we could find how much money they're making here. saw a number here on Husker Online where they talked about, I think they were referring to the $20 million rev share, how it'll help Tennessee's $20 million. Yeah. So neither Adidas nor UT disclosed financial terms of the deal because its unique structure would provide a competitive advantage if revealed, a UT spokesperson said. So disregard what I said before. We don't know how much it's worth, but we know that it's a 10-year partnership between Adidas and Tennessee. Incredibly relevant, though, because Nebraska football back in 2017 signed a 11-year deal with Adidas, and that deal was worth $128 million. Okay, so do 11 divided by 128, you get roughly 12 million. Okay, I think people would assume $2017 to now $2026. The Tennessee deal is probably above that. It's probably more than that.
Yeah, it would be.
And I think this is going to be incredibly interesting because now I don't know the ins and outs and the negotiations and whether Nebraska is in talks with Adidas or, if they want to re-sign with Adidas or how the fans feel about it or anything like that. I will say this. I think Adidas is a comfortable brand. I think Adidas makes really good footwear. I think Adidas makes really good just clothing in general. I think when you go to the bookstore and you buy Adidas branded Nebraska stuff, I've never been unhappy with it. They have kind of fallen short in terms of the alternate jersey game, if you will.
Just competing with Nike and Under
Armour.
Armour.
Don't think they've just been as aesthetically pleasing and like the things that people really want, if we're being honest, when it comes to alternate jerseys. And I think that Nebraska is such a traditional program that, it should be pretty damn easy to make good alternate jerseys for Nebraska football. Like in theory, with just how much history you have and just how much money goes into these things. Like we should have creative enough minds where Nebraska pretty damn consistently is getting great alternate jerseys, and they just happen.
Well, you don't have to necessarily do alternate uniforms. You could do throwback uniforms to call back some of the good traditional days. I've always liked the idea of, I've always pitched this idea in Nebraska on their helmet having the logo on one side and then having the number on the other.
That'd be cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not necessarily in favor with messing with the helmets because the helmets are just so damn beautiful in my mind.
Yeah,
and they're just cool. They're just cool helmets.
But there's certain schools that it's extremely tough to make a change. I mean, with Nebraska, you got the traditional scarlet and cream.
Oh yeah, but I just think with Tennessee, like.
Tennessee, you could figure out.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about that. What matters is this: 2017, they signed this deal. It's an 11-year deal. It's worth roughly $12 million a year, and it's coming to an end in 2028. And so that means that Nebraska is going to have an opportunity to re-sign and either re-sign with Adidas or go ahead and go to a different brand.
When does that deal expire?
2028.
2028.
Signed in 2017. It's an 11-year deal.
Okay.
So I think that Nebraska has to go to the table to Adidas and say this. BS on Tennessee being your flagship program. Erroneous. Absolutely not. Because they left your ass in 2014. We didn't. We stood here. We stood pat. We were loyal by you. We signed this 11-year deal, which, by the way, you have profited off of greatly, if we're going to be honest. Consider you get $12 million a year for this fan base who is just always, even though the alternate jerseys have not panned out the way that you want them, people have still bought them, and people are still buying the jerseys, and people are still getting the shoes, and people are still purchasing this stuff. And so you're telling me that you're willing to go out and you're going to make Tennessee the flagship program? Hell no. No, thank you. Like, we are the University of Nebraska. And two, you hope, and this is why, like, it just always comes down to winning, because Tennessee, to their credit, has done plenty of winning in that span. dating back to last year when they went to the college football playoff. Like, if Nebraska goes ahead and wins this year and wins next year and wins the year after that, they are going to be a national brand again. They're going to be talked about again. They are going to be on ESPN and Fox and finally become the head honcho and talking piece that we all thought they would be when they joined the Big Ten. And so if you go ahead and you are able to cash in on the things that you've been able to develop with this program, whether it be the talent and the coaching merit and the resources put into it, you can go up to the table in 2028 and say, MFer, pay me money, pay me all the money. We are the flagship program.
We know our worth.
Look at me. I'm the captain. I'm the captain. That's
old Captain Phillips reference.
Yes. Like, they need to go ahead and they need to do that. And so, like, good as Tennessee, great deal for them. And we are now in the era too of money. And one of my favorite quotes from Troy Dannon when he was doing his Husker State of the Union was, "We have to find other ways to make revenues other than raising ticket prices." And I think that kind of struck not a chord with me, but that definitely related to the fact of, I think Troy Dannon just gets it from a perspective of, you can only milk the cow so much. You can only squeeze so much water out of the rag. You can only ask Nebraska fans to do so much without giving them the joy that they so desperately deserve. And so when they get to 2028 and we are in this rev share era, it is going to be a massive deal for Nebraska, because it's another one of those things where, hey, like, it's more revenue. It's more flexibility. It's able to keep the books, in the black as opposed to the red. By the way, the books are not in the red with Nebraska. They're doing very fine financially from an athletic department standpoint. So that I think was incredibly interesting to me 2 days ago, where not only Tennessee, who, left Adidas in 2014, they become the flagship program, and Nebraska. Definitely, and now there's not a number associated. So I went ahead. Because I thought I saw that it was a $20 million deal, but it was just in reference to the $20.5 million ref share number on Husker Online. Knox News of knoxnews.com, pretty locked in with UT, got a quote from a spokesperson that said that they're not revealing how much money they got per year from this deal. So we don't know how much they're making. I think we're just assuming it's more than $12 million. It's got to be, in my opinion, around the ballpark of $20 million a year, which would be an absolutely massive deal for Tennessee. So I would, if I was Nebraska football, I'd be a little bit like Nebraska athletics. It'd be a little bit like, okay, they're your flagship program. But at the same time, I'm licking my lips, because I'm like, all right, hey, when that deal comes up in 2028, Nebraska's going to get paid. And I don't think a lot of, like, if they switch to Nike, I don't think does anybody really have a problem if they were to switch from one brand to, I don't think fans really care about it.
I know. I know certain people, probably the old folks, that are so used to that one brand that might be a little ticked off.
Sure.
Just knowing Nebraska's affiliated with that particular brand itself.
I feel like there's definitely the correlation of Nebraska going from Pepsi to Coke and going from Adidas to Nike.
Yeah.
Just obviously you just have two of the second brands, essentially, like, that are representing your school. Because Adidas is the second brand. They always will be the second brand. No matter what you do, they will always be second fiddle to Nike. Nike will always have that number one spot. Same thing with Coke. Coca-Cola will always be the number one spot. There's a reason why some people call shoes Nikes, right? People don't call it, hey, let me get a soda. They go, can I get a Coke? It's one of, it's one of those things where it's just word association. Same thing. We don't say, can I get a tissue? We say, can I get a Kleenex? Right? There are just brands that own certain products.
We're just so familiar with, affiliated with throughout our lives.
Yeah. So, I think that we're talking about Caleb Williams on First Take right now. Jesus. Or Get Up.
Oh, man. preseason game number 2 coming up.
Tiger Shark Diver says in the comments, Nike quality has went way down. I haven't noticed that. Is that a consensus thing that Nike isn't?
I honestly haven't really paid too much attention.
Neither
Like I
have
said,
I.
I don't really care. I just grab
Just go in your
what
closet and you put on clothes.
well, when I go shopping, I just grab what I can get.
Honestly, I've been killing it with the Goodfellow brand from Target. You know that brand? You go to Target, they got those $10 t-shirts.
Not familiar.
No, they're incredible. Joey, come on. You got to go to Target. Target's got banger shirts, man. If you want to be like classy, want to be more classy, you get like probably like a plain color Goodfellow brand t-shirt. If you want to, get like a picture tee or something like that, comic book tee, video game tee, or just a beer t-shirt with just beer on it, Target is the place to go.
I'll keep that.
I don't know that. I don't know about the Tiger Shark Diver. I don't know. I have to look into that. I don't know if Nike if their quality has gone way down. But I just know this. I know that Nike is the brand. Nike is the quality brand. Or not the quality brand, but the top brand. And if Nebraska goes ahead and they get a massive deal and a massive offer from Nike, I ain't going to be crying about it if they go from Adidas over to the swoosh. Okay. And it's one of those things where I think that deal is definitely going to come down to how are you prioritized and how much money do you have? And if Nebraska's getting less money than Tennessee and they're not as prioritized as Tennessee when Tennessee left them, you're not doing that deal unless they're giving you a massive offer. Hey, Corporate Dave's called in, or sorry, Corporate Dan. I didn't see. It's hard for me to see the line over here from all the way to the left. Dan, you're on the line. You got some corporate advice for me, my man?
Well, I just want to know what you think the incentive would be to like switch to Nike over Adidas.
Money, and where you positioned. I just think that's just kind of what it comes down to, right? Just if Nebraska football isn't as valuable as Tennessee in Adidas's eyes after Tennessee clearly left Adidas for Nike, and Nebraska football has represented the Adidas brand as best as they could, I think that would be the incentive. It's just all about dollars nowadays, is the thing.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I got to go outside. Realize my wife is still sleeping. From a dollars perspective, but especially is Adidas doesn't have as much control over what they can actually do from a football perspective with their jerseys and everything.
Sure.
Because we're never going to be a market that actually like accepts a throwback that goes further back than like 1984, and we haven't changed the jerseys that significantly.
Yeah,
and we've only got 2 primary colors.
No, you're right, and I definitely do think you pose great points with the whole, alternate jersey standpoint. You can only get so creative, and I don't think that's the incentive, Dan. Like, I don't think Nebraska football is going to be like, oh, we want to leave Adidas because they don't give us dope alternate jerseys. I think Nebraska, if the money is, look, I don't think there's any reason other than if the money isn't there and the prioritization isn't there, then you shouldn't mess with them. Nebraska football should be able to cash in on their loyalty toward Adidas and the fact that, Tennessee signed this deal. Nebraska, hopefully at this point, with the winning that they'll be doing in the future, will be an even bigger brand, even though they are an incredibly big brand to begin with. Like, I think Nebraska football will have the numbers and will have the leverage, hopefully, because you need that money.
Haven't cashed in yet this year, just considering the fact that Dylan and all the athletes are in a national billboard.
Oh yeah. That's the athletes too, and I'm saying this is all about, this is years in advance, right? This is 3 years from now. And so the landscape can change and Adidas can sign other schools to other deals, and that could affect things as well. But I just think that when you see your brand that you're affiliated with go ahead and sign another school to a lucrative deal, and your deal is about to expire, the lights go up and you go, hey, like, we should be able to benefit from that. And you should be able to make money from that. And I think go ahead, Dan.
From a full-on, just pure sneakers perspective,
Sure.
I would like to combat one thing that you said a little bit earlier.
Go ahead.
Because, yes, Nike always has the market cap because they are Nike and they are the known American brand. That's the big thing with Nike, is that they are seen as America's shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Adidas is doing the more exciting things in the sneaker space right now.
It's a great
The
point.
collaborators that they
Mhm.
specifically have and the deals that they're able to make. And Nike, yes, very good. Adidas, true global reach.
Sure. Sure.
They dig into every single sport, unlike Nike that is so football and basketball and fashion focused,
Yep.
where Adidas, their fashion shoes that they have are also shoes that you can actually run.
See that, but the one
That's
thing
the
I will
big
throw,
difference
yeah, the one thing
Nike and Adidas.
I'll throw at you, Dan, is just from a fan consumption perspective. I mean, have you personally bought all of those Nebraska Adidas collaboration shoes? You know, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I think of more of it like apparel from a shoe perspective. But I think you do bring up great points where it's like, yeah, you know, Adidas has done some really creative and really good things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be nice if we could actually pump more of that into the Nebraska brand. Just because
Sure.
I
Sure.
feel like right now, especially, Texas A&M is getting a lot of that push from Adidas that Nebraska is not.
Yeah. That's something that they're going to have to consider when they get this deal done. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for the call and educating us. Like I said before, I ain't a corporate shoe apparel expert, but it's just basic math here. If you've been loyal to a brand for so long and they go ahead and they sign another school to a lucrative deal and your deal is about to come up, you better go in and cash in. And that's what I think Nebraska should do. And I think it'll be massive for the future of the NIL era because you'll be able to get money, hopefully, that can cover the cost of all of the more costs that you have to pay for. So, all righty. Hey, the other side of this break, we are going to have a fun little segment that we're going to be talking about a guy who surprised a lot of people yesterday. Then we're going to be talking about some national college football stuff. Shedeur Sanders got hurt in the NFL, so sure, we'll spend about 2 minutes on that. And then we'll have Sarah Baker Hansen on at 8:30, followed up by Steve Sipple at 9:20, and Brian Edwards at 9:45. Don't go anywhere. Listen to Gary and Matt.
When replacing your roof, entrusted to the MVPs in Omaha, Moose Roofing. Pat and the crew, they've been around since 1996. They've done over 15,000 roofs. They're local. They're here before the storm. They're here during the storm. They're here after the storm. And they're going to provide you a peace of mind in protecting your most valuable asset, which is your home. Now, Moose Roofing, what makes them different is their highly durable lifetime roofing solutions. They've got ventilation expertise and excellent service. The big thing they do, and it's a huge customer service thing, not only do they make sure the job is done properly, that the site looks great, but they're going to help you navigate the ever-increasingly difficult insurance process. They are locally owned. They've got a top-notch reputation. Just ask anybody that has had Moose Roofing work with them. Contact them today. You know, storm season's coming up. You don't want to be caught short-handed. Go with the best. It's Moose Roofing. Contact them today. Online at mooseroofing.com. That's mooseroofing.com.
Hey, we're 2 weeks away from the start of the Nebraska football season as the Huskers take on the Cincinnati Bearcats in Kansas City. Don't forget, go to 1620thezone.com and sign up for the 1620 The Zone Football Road Trip Online Contest, which is powered by Bankers Trust. Experience the Bankers Trust difference today. Pack your red gear and get ready to hit the road. One lucky winner will score it all. 2 tickets to see the Nebraska Huskers take on the Cincinnati Bearcats in a Big 10 versus Big 12 showdown at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. 1-night hotel stay near the stadium, $100 for gas, grub, gear, or whatever keeps you cheering the loudest. You can enter online at 1620thezone.com. Just enter your email and agree to the terms and conditions applied. We go to the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. John emails in. Taylor Swift on the Heights podcast. Were you moved or what by Travis on the cover of GQ? Some are calling the pics desperate. His rugged style is major sus. What Easter eggs or little things did you pick up for the 2-hour podcast? I didn't pick up any Easter eggs other than just they're 2 adults. And it seems like they're madly in love. Someone did tweet at me that he goes, there's a long, Corey, or at Scrappy Swan tweets at me and says, there's a long segment on the New Heights podcast about how they met. He shot his shot because he was denied access to meet her at a meet and greet at Arrowhead. I'm not talking about how they met. I know how they met. I'm talking about, I want the first date. Okay. I want the first
one
experience.
The first date.
Yes.
Actual date, like at a restaurant, or they went to the park and
yeah, I want that. I want the
wouldn't
juicy
think they
material.
I wouldn't think they go to a park just given their status. Taylor's status as a artist and Travis's status as a football tight end.
They're just sitting in the park. Are there people who just go to the park and sit in the park still nowadays? Do you just go?
There's certain people.
Poll question: do you just go to the park? It's another thing too. We're like I feel like in society we're missing more and more people, men and women, who are just like, oh, it's a Wednesday, I'm just gonna go to the bar, and I'm gonna sit down and have a beer. And we're missing also too the people who just want to just go to the bar by themselves and watch sports on Friday, Saturday. I just feel like we don't have that culture as much as we used to. We just don't have the sport bro and gal. It's just like, yeah, I just want to sit down and have a couple of Miller Lights with a nice wooden bench and watch the sports here. I don't need to be on my couch, with my homemade beer or anything like that.
Yeah.
I want to be amongst the people, even if I don't know any people. And then guess what? You just look to the right of you and you just go, hey, how you doing? My name's Matt. Nice to meet you. You look to the left of you, you go, hey, how you doing? Matt, nice to meet you. We need to be more social. Less social media, more social. That's how I live my life.
Stay off the technology and more face-to-face interaction.
I don't know if you've been to a bar with youngins recently, with people our age, 26-year-old, 23-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it's like a middle school dance most of the time. It's a little embarrassing.
It's a little bit of an
awkward our generation really is taking a knock and is really like not earning the respect of the generations before it, because we're now all on the apps and we're all swiping right and liking pictures.
Yeah.
Where back in the day, I don't know, there was a little bit of a charm.
There's
just walking up to a person you've never seen before and saying, hi, my name's Matt. My name's Joey.
There's not a lot of engagement. It's more of just looking down on the phones until take your order, get your drink.
Well, I think everybody wants somebody to talk to them, but nobody wants to be the one who
starts the conversation or decides to end it. Or
I think people are too.
It just depends on the person. Depends on their personality. Just depends on how they go about things. And most of the times with technology, they tend to see what's going on elsewhere.
People are too afraid to be embarrassed in front of people they probably will never see again.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Unless you do know that person, you're a friend with that person, and then maybe I get it. But who cares? Who cares? You're not going to see that person again. You're not going to talk to him again.
No.
Right? Just go up to him. Hi, my name's Joey.
Enjoy the moment.
I like your eyes. Or I like your necklace. Or I think you're pretty. Or it's like, I noticed, whatever. Do you want a drink? Sure. You get a vodka soda. You get the Miller Lite. Hell,
Let's talk
If
about
she
life.
tells you no, do you know what you do? Just go to another bar. It's across the street.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
There's plenty of bars in Omaha.
I don't know how many young people are listening to this, but it's a cry to stop making our bars like I'm at the Queen of All Saints winter dance. And, we're keeping room for Jesus. And, we're not really interacting with people. And we're all in our little groups. And all we want to do is be comfortable. We got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Right. And
That's
look,
part of life.
look to, and I know the older, the older generation of people, okay, who might be driving their cars right now or might be driving the younger generation to school or whatnot. They should be nodding their heads right now because I respect so much of what they used to do. That's how they used to live their life. They'd see somebody. How many stories have you heard of men and women who are just like, yeah, saw her at a bar. She's the most beautiful thing I've ever laid my eyes on. And I said to myself in that moment, you got to say something. And they go up and they say it to them. They meet them. They get married. They have a beautiful family. I mean, I just described to you country music. That's what I just described to you. Just described to you every country music song. It is. It's a love story. What are we going to write about?
It's a love story, but I'm not going to listen to it.
I'm going to be honest with you. Like our generation of because you go back and the greatest generation of music, right? It's probably from 70s to 90s, in my opinion.
That was the golden age.
The golden age of music. And what are those songs about? Okay. They're about love. They're about meeting somebody. They're about getting your heart broken. Okay. They're about
basic aspects of life.
Taking them out to dinner, seeing them for the first time, going to the county fair. Little white stain on my t-shirt. She was sitting there in a miniskirt. Right? Sitting off by the railroad tracks. She had a suntan line and red lipstick. I worked so hard for that first kiss. And that's a story a heart will never forget. Something like that. Beautiful song. All right? What are we going to write about? I was on my phone one day, swiping left and swiping right. Saw a beautiful girl that I thought could never leave my sight. I messaged her once. I messaged her twice. The third time was the charm. Hell no. That doesn't sound good.
No.
That's a terrible song. I liked her prompt on Hinge. Terrible stuff. All right? We need to be better. I don't know how we got there. I don't know how we got there at all. But it's something that I needed to get off my chest. I'm just sick and tired of people acting weird at the bar.
One of those good old man rants. Society.
Well, I am an old
changed.
man. I do have an old man soul. And I do, and there are parts of me that at times, like outside of like some of the terrible things that were happening, just from a social scene, I feel like I would have absolutely loved the 70s and 80s. Talking about weird things, the Brewers keep winning. They won again last night. They were minus, listen to this. They were minus 250 yesterday to defeat the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Wow.
They have a day off today. The Cubs play the Toronto Blue Jays. Their offense showed up, but more in particularly, their pitching did an incredible job holding the 70-51 Blue Jays, who are having one hell of a season. Cade Horton looked great. 5 2/3 innings, 1 earned run. I know that we are 2 weeks away from football, but if you're a big baseball fan, it's heating up right now. Yesterday, the Seattle Mariners dropped the game to the Baltimore Orioles in walk-off fashion, while the Houston Astros picked up a massive win over the not as quite surging as they once were, but still pretty damn good Boston Red Sox. And now Houston has a 1-game lead in the AL West over the Mariners. Should get Skibbs on. I don't think Skibbs listens to the morning show, but I would love for Skibbs to call in. We can have a conversation about the Mariners. And then on top of that, the Angels once again, who now are just 3 games under 500, defeated the LA Dodgers, who I was watching a Talking Baseball podcast yesterday with Trevor Plouffe, and they made the point, and I kind of agree with them. The Dodgers have a great record, but it just seems like they haven't played like their best baseball yet, which is kind of crazy. But the Padres are playing great baseball. Yesterday, they absolutely routed the San Francisco Giants 11-1. So Padres 1-game lead in the NL West. Astros 1-game lead in the AL West. And we had some great news yesterday. Owen Casey going to get called up. Cubs got prospect who will be playing today is what the reports say. So I don't know if a guy who strikes out 28% of the time is really going to help out a team that can't move runners over when they have them in scoring position. And, they had a couple sack flies yesterday, so at least they did that. But the game before they didn't. So we'll see if Owen Casey can get the Cubs offense out of the rut. Interesting stat from him, by the way. 42% of the balls that he puts in play are hit over 95 miles an hour. So that's awesome. Just get those strike numbers down. Be tougher to do that, though, in the MLB. So we'll see what happens with that. That's our MLB update.
Pretty good one.
Thank you. That's what you'll be getting.
And,
and Colorado beat St. Louis yesterday. So go Nick Graham and screw the Cardinals.
And no mention of the Minnesota Twins.
Well, yeah. So they're not selling the team anymore. And I guess they're just looking for investors as opposed to selling the team, which the Twins did pick up a win against the Yankees. So good for them. I think there's anything else that I have to update here. Oh, by the way, we talked yesterday with Connor Happer about Kansas City Royals need to end up being like 6-0 on this little easy road trip that they have, or easy home game that they have.
Give someone hope for Happer.
Well, no hope because they lost yesterday to the Washington Nationals. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about a little tweener on this team. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to talk about a burning question between two coaches and who's more important. Get some national college football stuff, and then Sarah Baker Hansen on at 8:30, followed up by Steve Sipple at 9:20. Brian Edwards, 9:45. Gary and Matt. Did my StreamYard not working? What's going on?
Yeah, disconnected.
Oh,
Don't worry. I got the studio cam
see ya.
up for now until you get back. Once you get back, I'll take care of things. Don't worry.
You always take care of things, Joey. King Joey on the ones and twos today. No Gary Sharp today or Gary Sharp tomorrow or Monday through Thursday. Got a good lineup of fill-in hosts that we'll have next week. Tomorrow we are TBD as to find who else will be in the second chair. But just
Peter
for
Princer will be on the ones.
he'll be on the ones and twos. But just for today, we'll have King Joey and myself for the next 2 hours. I do want to mention something about the single digits, which I kind of found pretty interesting yesterday. So Janeran Bonner comes in at number 4. In terms of that will be the number that he's wearing. He was voted on by his peers to have the honor of wearing one of the single digits, which Matt Rule did a MTV, Pimp My Crib or whatever video that he loves to do to present that and explain to people why it means so much to get a single digit. And, it's voted on by the players and it's a great honor. And Bonner, it's interesting. I mean, he's a guy that I think is going to come in 5th on the depth chart for wide receivers. I was talking to somebody about how much run he might get, and it'll probably be in the 20 snap count range in terms of how often he's going to be on the field, which I haven't looked. I could look at his PFF numbers during the break from last season, but I would probably ponder a guess that is not it's probably around maybe even more than what he had last season. But and it's been incredibly interesting with Janeran Bonner just in general, because he comes in and he's a 4-star wide receiver. Then it seems like he's going to be a tight end. Then then Matt Rule comes into town. And if you look at his Football Reference page, he then becomes a fullback. And if you remember back in 2020, would have been heading into the 2023 season, they had the spring game, which honored Frank Solich. The first play was a fullback dive in honor of the former coach of Nebraska who played fullback. And Janeran Bonner was the fullback, and it was announced, hey, Janeran Bonner is going to be a fullback this year. You've switched his position. So he went from being a wide receiver in high school to being a tight end briefly to then being a fullback. And then last year now he's switched to wide receiver. Now he sticks a wide receiver. And it's been very, very interesting with Bonner because he's always been a good athlete, man. Like you look at the picture that he took of him wearing the number 4, man, he looked cut. He looked good. I mean, he looked like a wide receiver. But it's just one of those things where it just seems like he's been a bit of a tweener where, hey, here's an athlete. Here's a guy who clearly does well by the program. That's why he got the single-digit number, but they've never been able to fully find a role and fully find a place for him to play. It kind of reminds you of Ramir Johnson, the final year of the Scott Frost era, where Frost was consistently talking about, well, yeah, he's playing running back, but he's also, in the slot as a wide receiver. He's got a different position, and, he's a bit of a tweener. And I think that a lot of people were very curious as to what that meant, because so what do you mean? He's not good enough to play wide receiver? He's not good enough to play running back? You're telling us that this guy who had a great year or had a really good game against Michigan, I mean, where does he stand within the depth chart? And I think that's kind of where we're at with Bonner, which is so interesting as to why he got a single digit, is because I just don't think you can expect much out of him this season. But at the same time, it's like, I think this is a great indication of just culture building, right? And just you have guys that stuck around this program who have been there for the end of this Frost days and the building blocks of the Rule days. And I think that, I think just an underrated part of everything that has been going on in Lincoln is the fact that they really built this program from the studs up.
And it's usually those who just trust the process, like I said earlier on in the show, and
sure,
just stuck through the changes from the coaching staff when
it's not hard to go through a coaching change.
Well,
man.
Going from Scott Frost, and then you had Mickey Joseph to finish things off that 2022 season.
I mean,
Then Matt Rule taking over things, and then obviously you got some coaching personnel changes on his staff through the last 2 years when he started with the Huskers.
So I don't know how big of a role that Janeran Bonner will have on the team this season. Like I said, I think it'll be around roughly 20-25 snaps a game, but an incredible honor for him. And I think it's just, it really is a reflection about, the program isn't just all about how many catches do you get and how many touchdowns do you score and how great are you. It also is about, do you have the right guys in the building? Do you have the right mix of people? Do you have the right guys who are leading your program? And I think that, that is something that you can say that, throughout, the struggling times that, there has been a lack of leadership, maybe more so on the front end, right? At the very top, right? Because I think that Luke Reimer and Nick Henrich and some of those older guys and Isaac Gifford did an incredible job of trying to lead this program, through these troubling times. But just one of those things where I think a lot of people were caught off guard. But I think if you know just how this program is built and how the respect is built and how much stock they put into the dudes who have stuck around and really bought into the process, regardless of how much playing time they get, they pay a lot of attention to those guys and give a lot of kudos to those guys. Another guy you think about now, I don't know, Janeran Bonner is going to get snaps and he's going to play and he's going to have a catch or two this season. Another dude that comes to mind too is, Roman Mangini, who might be a guy, I don't know if he might get, I don't know where his standing is. That might be a great candidate to get some special team snaps, and play on the kickoff. But that's a dude that they brought up multiple times. And they love him, not because Roman Mangini is this super incredible athlete that's running all over the field and doing all these things. He's just a guy who goes and he practices hard. He does the right things and he does his nutrition and keeps himself hydrated. And he doesn't just, if he gets an injury, he rehabs greatly. But what he does better than that is he prehabs, right? And he gets the right amount of sleep and good eating and all that stuff. So Bonner with a single digit, good for him. Number one is left. There is one number left to give away for the single digits, and that number is number 1. I like Heinrich Haarberg. You brought up Haarberg. I like Haarberg for that.
I just think him willing to adjust to the changes in the position group and then changing positions from quarterback to tight end and then just embracing the leadership role on the team, just understanding what it takes to be a part of a winning culture. Kind of being that transition from where Nebraska was from the last decade to where they are now. Heinrich Haarberg has been
I love that
part of that.
Oh, for sure. I don't think it's going to be Dylan. I think Dylan's 15. I think that's who he is. I think that's his brand. I think it's in his fabric. I think that's totally fine. I have no problem with it. A lot of kids running around with 15 jerseys. They can still run around, support number 15. Be interesting to see if Emmett Johnson doesn't get that number, though. If you have your two faces of the program who are, showing themselves to the community and trying to lift the program up when they both don't get your single digit honor. But maybe Emmett is tied to 21 just as much as Dylan might be tied to 15. So we'll see what happens in terms of that. It's cool, but this is how you know that we're so close yet so far away from football season that we're talking about who's getting what numbers.
We're just ready.
Hey, we're going to dive into some actual numbers coming up next. Holgo or Eckler?
Interesting topic.
Who's more important? Is it the OC? Is it the guy who's leading the offense, who's coaching the quarterback, who is at the helm of the development of the highest rated recruit in school history?
Yep.
Or is it the guy who is a part of the unit that has fallen short so many times and in turn has had Nebraska fall short of their winning mark season after season? Who's more important? Is it Holgo or is it Eckler? Talk about it next. Don't go anywhere. Gary and Matt on 1620 Design. When is an appropriate time to go to a pumpkin patch? Is it now?
It's
Let's
it's
say
it, it- it's
October.
it's getting there. It's getting there.
Getting closer
When
and
when
closer.
the weather kind of cools down a bit, I would say. You don't want to go there when it's in the 90s, when it's still real humid outside.
I agree with that. I think it'd be actually very informational if I should go through a list of the college football season this year and try and find everybody the pumpkin patch week. Like, what is the best week to go to the pumpkin patch with your wife, with your girlfriend, with the person you want to be your girlfriend, with your kids, with your parents? I'll
Or
tell
with
you
your
this right
friends.
now. Here's an easy way to consistently go to the pumpkin patch this year. Go to 1620thezone.com and enter into a contest with an opportunity to get Vala's season passes. Fall is just around the corner, and 1620 The Zone is giving you the chance to win a season pass to Nebraska's favorite fall attraction, Vala's Pumpkin Patch. You could win 2 2025 season passes to Vala's and enjoy all the fall family fun that Vala's has to offer. Enter right now to win 1620thezone.com and your email and agree to the terms and conditions applied. Vala's, baby. You should do that. It ain't November. I think like November 1st is one hell of a week in college football. And I think October, I think Gary said yesterday, October
Halloween's on a
16th.
Friday.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh,
It's perfect day of the week. End your week off with Halloween.
God, that's got
Kids are gonna enjoy that. It's gonna be crazy.
Halloween on a Friday.
It's gonna be crazy in
Would love-
at all the attractions.
See, I'm not a parent. Now, last year I did indulge in doing the Halloween thing and giving out the candy as opposed to trick-or-treating. Like I got like 6 packs for the parents. And so if the parents came through, I would give them beers. And then the kids came through and then I gave them candy. We were like the most popular house in the block. And I made sure I was dressed up as a cowboy. It was awesome.
Wait. So you handed out beer to parents?
To parents.
That's an interesting choice.
What do you mean? They're walking around. It's cold. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
It's damp, right? Their kids are running around screaming, looking like a fairy. I'm sure they're like, a little annoyed at times, right? You just go ahead, you give their kid a candy bar, and then you ask the parent, "Hi, would you like a beer?" You'd be surprised how many men and women both were like, "I would love a beer." And they go around and they open up the beer and they just sip around because Halloween is the classic, the weather isn't terrible, but the weather isn't good type weather.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's you still need a little bit of like a coat and it's fall. It's fall. It's the pinnacle of fall. So I would love a parent to call in though and tell me, is there a difference between having Halloween on a weekday compared to a weekend? Because I would imagine that Halloween on a weekend is probably hell on earth.
It's a better option because then you don't have to worry about school the next day. At least
Sure.
you go into Saturday just sleeping in. You don't have to wake the kids up. You don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
but then the kids are going to have more energy and they're going to be more excited. And that day,
Yeah.
and that at school, they're going to have a massive like Halloween celebration.
Yeah.
And they're going to be riled up and jacked
Wrapping up
up
the end of the week.
all day. And as soon as they come home, they're going to be like, "Oh my God, we got to go. We got to go. We got to go. I don't have any homework to do. I have no homework. Let's just go and trick or treat." Because that's what we have to do. Like we used to have to do that where you go ahead and you have to do your homework before you go out. Now, if you get it on Friday, you don't have to do that.
It's a good thing Nebraska's not playing that Friday night on Halloween, and rather they're playing that 2 weeks before, because how would fans handle having a?
I don't know. I think kids would just show up to the game dressed up. I think it actually.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. Am I the minority? Wouldn't it be cool
the
if
trick or treat perspective? That's what
if it was a night Halloween game, and you go ahead and you trick or treated like right after school from like 3 to 5, and then you just pop the kids in the car and then you drive down to Lincoln to the old Memorial Stadium, 10th and Vine.
Yeah,
That'd be fun. I think that'd be more fun than you think.
That'd be enjoyable.
We'll go to the YouTube chat. I first want to shout out the YouTube chat. They're awesome. Okay. People who are on YouTube chat on the Zone TV, whether it be YouTube or Twitch or Twitter or Facebook, Zone TV, go and check it out. You can see my beautiful face. You can see the even more beautiful face of Joey Colbert over there. We're going to read some comments. Chris has commented, Emmett needs to say a 21 tradition. Craig Brown, Benning. Chris also says Harburg for sure deserves number 1. I agree. I think it'd be awesome if Heinrich Harburg, the Kearney kid, was number 1 on the team. Tim Cook, number 1. No way. Mr. Johnson needs to keep 21. He's not a number 1. LOL. Well, he's the number 1 running back on the team. But I agree with Tim. I like my running backs with 20 numbers. I'm just a traditionalist. 21, 22, 23. 21 looks great. on EJ. Couldn't agree more. I would just find it interesting if, you had the two faces of the program in Dylan and Emmett, and neither of them end up.
They decided to make the swap.
I don't know. Yeah,
I
I can't really fully disclose to you like Emmett for sure. I have no clue. I have no idea when it comes to that number situation. I mean, with Dylan, it's just 15 is his brand.
Is there speculation this final announcement is going to be made by
I have no
player themselves?
I have no idea. I just know that there's one number left, and it's probably the most popular number on the football.
When would you think that would be announced? Because we're 2 weeks away.
Probably today.
I'd
imagine.
Or probably the end of the week. Yeah. Probably.
Isn't it kind of cool that they're going to have a vote to see who gets number one? Who gets it?
And they'll release a pool report.
Yeah.
To see.
I don't know. If it was Emmett, I'd be awesome with it. If it was Heinrich Harburg,
it'll be awesome for whoever. It'll be awesome for whoever.
That is true. It will be awesome for whoever who ends up getting it. Maybe it's Willis McGahee. That'd be dope too. Chris writes in the YouTube chat as well. Halloween in our neighborhood is chaos. We pull a wagon with a cooler of beer and liquor. Haunted house on the corner. Always a police car there to keep people moving. Gotta dodge golf carts. It's awesome. I'm telling you, Colbert. People like to get a little boozed up on Halloween.
I just did not know that was a thing just to hand out like when you're going house to house. I did not think that would be a thing. Like if someone hands out like some
hell yeah, take the edge off, man.
Some awful candy or good candy, and then you got some fruit with that.
Sure. J-Man writes in 92 versus Colorado was a 6 p.m. kickoff on Halloween. Drove to Lincoln with a buddy from high school. It was a Husker blowout of the Buffs. Great memory. All right. That's a great comment, J-Man. Sounds like incredible memory. Let's talk about this. Let's get serious here. Let's get down to business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
We're not Mulan, but we're going to get serious for a second. I've said this multiple times. I think this team's going 8-4. I think that they're going to beat the teams that they are favored against. And I think that they are not going to beat the teams that they're underdogs against. I would say that they are going to lose to USC and Iowa and Penn State. Well, they might not be underdogs against Iowa, but I think they'll lose to the 4 best teams in the schedule: Penn State, Iowa, USC, and Michigan. But I do think, and I've said this before, that I think that's massive progress for this program, for where they've been to where they are now. If they just go ahead and beat the teams that they really supposed to, because that is the biggest struggle that this team has had. I mean, you can go down the list of the amount of times where Nebraska entered a game with some sort of amount of momentum and were a favorite, and they end up losing that game in horrendous fashion. But the reason why I think they're going to do it this year as opposed to years past is because of the coaching and just because of the merit that they have on the coaching staff and the amount of experience. And they have 2 coaches on the staff in Mike Eckler and Dana Holgerson, who, for what they have done, Holgerson on the offensive end, Eckler on the special teams department, haven't necessarily been the best in the country, but have been some of the better coaches in the country when it comes to their respective crafts. And they are way better than what Nebraska had last season. Okay. And it begs the question, what is more important? Who is the more important coach this season? Is it Eckler or is it Holgerson? Who is under the microscope? Whose coaching philosophies and techniques are going to end up deciding more games? And I think there's 2 schools of thought. The one school of thought is, man, Nebraska has been bad at special teams the last couple of years. Okay.
They've been bad.
Last season alone, Nebraska was 102nd in field goal percentage. They were 97th in punt average. They were 100th in kickoff return average, 105th in punt return yards a game, and 111th in punt return yards. 111th in punt return yards a game and 105th in yards per punt return. Okay. I know I kind of botched that a little bit, but they're all in the hundreds and 97s. And they're in the bottom quarter of the country.
It just hasn't been good.
It's been terrible. And you can harken back to 2021 Oklahoma when they missed the extra point and Oklahoma scoops it up and they go ahead and have a 3-point swing, right? For a 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
You can go ahead to Michigan State, where they're supposed to punt it one way and a punt it the other way, and Jaden Reed catches the ball and he runs the ball into the end zone for the easiest damn punt return touchdown you've ever seen in your life. You can go back to Georgia Southern, where first off, they didn't even have a kicker that could really get that distance. And then they missed that field goal to force that game into overtime. You can go back to just last year. John Hall had a great end of the year, but what happens if he makes that kick against Illinois? Nebraska's undefeated.
Yeah.
Nebraska has a ton of momentum. And they beat a ranked team at Memorial Stadium. Do I think that the Indiana game is any different because Nebraska beats Illinois? No.
Who knows?
Who knows? But I still think they lose the Indiana game. But still, Friday night, lights, Memorial Stadium, hit the field goal, beat a ranked team as a ranked team. Massive for the program. Go to the Iowa game last season, last game of the regular season. The terrible special teams that happened that caused all of that to occur.
Just led to the dramatic downfall in that fourth quarter.
Yes. So it's just one of those things that immediately, like you bring in a guy like Mike Eckler, I'm not going to say that John Hall for sure makes the kick if Mike Eckler is the special teams coordinator. But if you look at Tennessee's stats from last season, Tennessee was number 1 in punt return yards per game. They were 9th in punt and yards per punt return. They were 31st in punt average and 55th in kickoff return average. Okay? Tennessee was a much better special teams team than Nebraska was. And so you go to that Iowa game and immediately 2 games right away that I can tell you, if Mike Eckler is the special teams coordinator and is able to put together a group much like to what they're putting together this season, maybe they end up beating Illinois. And I think they for sure beat Iowa, without a doubt.
Well, some of the issues not only was the kicking, but like the protection. That's
and
an
blocked
area.
punts. How many blocked punts did Nebraska football have last season?
We've seen several of that, several blocked field goals, but protection's really a crucial key to making successful kicks. And then the teaching on how you want to kick the football, how you want to angle it.
Sure. No, it's all. I mean, you're all spot on there. But then on top of that, it's like, what was Nebraska's best game last season? It was Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But then after that, it was the Ohio State game. How good was the special teams unit during the Ohio State game? It was great.
Yeah,
it's absolutely incredible.
Hitting the 56-yard field goal going to halftime,
right?
With a lot of momentum going into the second half.
So when they play their best special teams games of the season, and granted, Ohio State didn't play that well, but you still are competitive with the team that ended up winning the national championship. So from that perspective, it's like automatically you're looking at Mike Eckler and you're like, this guy could swing a couple of games. But the matter of fact is that they don't get in those positions without Dana Holgerson.
Yeah.
And they don't play close games without Dana. And so I can tell you right now, maybe you didn't have the results that you wanted to from a record perspective with Dana Holgerson in terms of, 20 points against USC, 44 points against Wisconsin, 10 points against Iowa, going 1-2 during that time. But you put Dana Holgerson over the entirety of the season, and you're able to build on the offense, and you build that momentum from game to game and learning the system and understanding what you have, right? You put yourself in better positions to win those games and to be in close games. And then you add on the fact that you have a really good special teams coordinator. Like, Nebraska sets themselves up to have more efficiency and better coaching to win more games. And that's why I'm on this 8-4 train, and why I think that they are going to be good and why they're going to beat teams in close games this season. Because the answer to the question is, who's more important, Dana Holgerson or Mike Eckler? There is no answer. They're both equally important. They both need each other. Holgo having a full offseason to work with Dylan Raiola, to work with this offense, to better. And by the way, I just want to put out there, the fact that Nebraska only lost to USC by 8 and Dana Holgerson had just came into the program and didn't even know the plays and didn't even know any of the players' numbers and barely knew the personnel, and they almost lost, and they nearly beat that team. They probably should have beaten that team, and they only lost to them by 8. In and itself is crazy. Okay? In and itself is wild. So I think that when you just combine, I don't think there is this guy's more important than the other, or this guy's going to have bigger. I think they're both going to have that bigger impact. And when you just combine a more efficient offense coached by a coach that has way more pelts on the wall than the offensive coordinator that started the season last year, and then you add in the fact that you are getting a special teams coordinator with so much merit that year in and year out has produced top-level special teams talent, not only just special teams talent within college football, but special teams talent that ends up going to the NFL. It's a marriage that should work. It should work. And I think that is the scariest part of it all, where it's like, how many times have we sat here about Nebraska football and said, hey, these things should work, and they don't end up working, right? But I just think that the mindset's different, the pedigree is different, and just things are moving in the correct direction. I don't think one is more important than the other. I think they both need each other. If Dana Holgerson is the offensive coordinator for the entirety of the season, Nebraska beats UCLA, in my opinion. Nebraska beats USC. And if Coach Eckler was the special teams coordinator for all of last season, Nebraska beats Iowa. And Nebraska ends up beating Illinois. And so just like that, if you were just to apply what they've done in the past and put it to last season, just simply, you have 4 more wins. And you go from being 6-6 to 10-2. Now, I'm not saying, so I'm not trying to get ahead of my skis and say, if Eckler and Holgerson were the coaches last year, Nebraska would have been 10-2. But you have a better shot at winning those games.
Yeah.
You have a better shot at winning those games. And so I think you can correlate that and you can jump that into next season with a roster that, in my opinion, is more talented. Now, the reason I go 8-4 while being super positive here, as opposed to being 10-2, is that I have PTSD. And I just need to see Matt Rule manage a close game with the clock and end up winning that game. And I need to see Dylan Raiola have the ball at the 25-yard line with 2 minutes to go, down 3, and lead the team to a field goal or lead the team to a touchdown. That's why I pulled back. That's why I pulled back to 8-4.
You're trying to be very cautious with the season.
Well, it's
just knowing what's happened in the past and how things look.
We haven't seen this team manage a close late game situation and end up pulling it out. They didn't pull it out against Iowa. They didn't pull it out against USC. They didn't pull it out against Ohio State. They didn't pull it out against Illinois. That was just last season. Those are your closest games. And those are the ones that you end up not winning. They didn't pull it out against Iowa in 2023 to end the year.
Minnesota in 2023 to start the season.
They didn't pull it out against Wisconsin the week before. They lost 10-13 to Maryland. They lose 17-20 against Michigan State.
And they had a fourth quarter lead.
Yes.
It was a dramatic collapse.
They have had ample opportunity to win these close games and manage these close games, and they failed to do it over and over again. And so that's why I say, man, this team's talented. Man, this team, if they take a jump, they could be really good. Man, they have better coaching. But I don't think they're beating any of, I'm not going to make the prediction that they're going to beat Penn State, Iowa, USC, or Michigan until I see that they can win in overtime. When I see that they can manage the clock and end up beating like a team like Wisconsin on the road. Now, don't get me wrong, man. If you're like pro rule, you can make plenty of excuses for each and for some of those games. Like 2023, you can just tell me, Matt, but the quarterback situation. And I can nod my head and be like, not wrong. I can then tell you who the hell put themselves in that spot, as a counter argument. But, it's one of those things where the things are lining up, but they still need to do things that they haven't been able to do before. And this isn't even dating back to the Scott Frost era. This is just dating back to the Matt Rule era. So it's a great marriage. I think I'm very confident Nebraska is going to be 8-4. I'm very confident they're going to have a winning season.
We should see some improvement going off of a bowl win season, getting those extra practices for those coming into this upcoming season. It's going to help the team. And
look, you heard
we hope we could get more out of it.
You heard the stats that I read off.
Yeah.
In comparison from Tennessee special teams unit to Nebraska special teams unit. If you even have half of that jump, you are winning yourself more games.
Mhm.
And we know what, I mean, we don't even need to go back and look at Holgerson's stats because we saw what we saw, right? Just just from a results perspective, yes, they went 1-2. But from an eye test perspective, man, you cannot, everybody saw it. Everybody saw how much quicker, how much faster, how much more dialed, how much more efficient that offense was under his direction. When he just came in off of whim and just barely knew the plays and barely knew the players and was able to do that and be competitive in all three of those games.
It's tough to make that adjustment going midway through the season.
Oh, God.
Changing personnel.
Jeff's been on the line for 7 minutes. Thank you for waiting, Jeff. You want to talk about special teams? What do you got for me, my man?
Hey guys, appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for calling in.
I agree with everything you're saying.
Thank you.
Looking forward to Eckler. I think he's going to hold him accountable and good energy, obviously on the sidelines. That's well known. But hey, I wanted to bring up
Sure.
with the punt returns, especially. You remember it wasn't that long ago we were sending out injured Billy Kemp and some other ones just to catch the ball.
Yeah.
We weren't even trying to make a return, just catch the ball.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, that was just horrible. Let's just get some yardage out of it. Somebody got to be a backup running back or somebody that can catch the ball.
Didn't you feel that way with Isaiah Garcia Cascaneda too, Jeff? Didn't you feel like they were just trying him out there just to catch it and do nothing other than that?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. And I know the guy went through a lot, but it was almost like kind of throwing him a bone. We're not going to get you on the field for a wide receiver, but let's throw you out for punt return. And you can just catch it. That's good enough.
Yeah.
No, we need more than that. Come on.
And I think they're going to give you more than that. I really do.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Jeff. Great points there.
You bet.
I mean, and Jeff's totally right. I mean, it felt like at the second half of that 2023 season, they threw in the towel when it came into the punt returns.
It seems like they played scare in that position. Kick returns, punt returns, they don't seem to return as much. And I remember a number, I think Austin shared this a couple weeks ago when he filled in for the Happer show, but 72 combined total, 72 total yards of punt returns for the
they returned 15 punts for 4.8 yards per average.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
See, Captain writes in a good stat here on the YouTube chat. He goes, a crazy stat is Satterfield's offense averaged the same amount of points per game, 23.5 last year's gain his offense did the last 4 games. Okay, so totally right. Totally correct.
Yep.
I do want to throw out here, though, that Satterfield did fortunately have 34-3 against Northern Iowa and have the 40-7 game
against UTEP.
So if we're just counting power conference opponents, right? You have, you
only had 28 against Colorado, and that was the first half.
Like, I can do quick math here. You had 52, then you had 80, then you had 94, then you had 101, then you had 118, followed up by 138. So if we're eliminating 11, so what was it? What did I say? 118. So it would have been divided by 7. 118 divided by 7 is 118 divided by 7 is 19. Or sorry, is 17.
Yeah, about 17.
17. So if we're just counting power conference opponents off of my very quick math here, it's 17 points against power conference opponents. Hogo has 23.5. I do think, I will say this, we give a little too much credit for Holgerson. I'm gonna be real here. We do give a little bit too much credit because 44 points against a really bad Wisconsin team, and it's not like the offense was playing well against Iowa, but they weren't able to cash in. And
don't forget Boston College, they struggled in that game.
They left some things to be desired. And also, too, let's not forget, if Ramir Johnson doesn't put the team on his back in that fourth quarter and get some big first downs, it might be a weird groin kick.
Yeah, it's a different
for Boston College. So I do think we do give maybe a little bit too much credit to Holgo for what he did at the end of the year, but I don't think there's any denying that what we saw in terms of a product with our own eyes was way better than what we were seeing the previous weeks before. And I think you're totally within your right to have some optimism that now you have a full offseason for things to get more acclimated, that things can be better. So that's where we'll leave that. That's just what this season boils down to. can they make the drive at the end of the game?
Well, and they did that against Boston College to end the season. That was a good way to end things
Yes.
off, winning.
Yes.
Can they continue doing that going into this season? You got Cincinnati week 1, highly anticipated game, and then week 4 against Michigan before that bye. 2 big games in the first third of that.
Oh, you're gonna know. You're gonna know. You're gonna know right away if our faith in this offense and our faith in this offensive coordinator and our faith in this quarterback is right or if it's misplaced.
And at least we have a whole offseason
yes.
instead of like mid-season
changes for Nebraska to figure things out. So it's just, can your 5-star quarterback take that ball at the 20-yard line and get you within field goal range? Can your coach take the right timeouts and give yourself enough time to hit the end zone to win the game? Can you not make those sloppy mistakes? Can you not give up those sacks? Can you not throw those interceptions? Can you not have those fumbles when it matters the most? Can you go ahead in a home game against Michigan State and beat a team you should beat, that you'll be favored against?
Yep.
Can you go on the road against a Maryland team that you will be a favorite on the road against, and can you win that game? Then we'll see where the chips fall within that. Sarah Baker Hansen coming up next here on Gary. It's the morning. It's 8:30. I don't know what the consensus is on breakfast in terms of feel like less and less people are making sure that they're having the most important meal of the day. I don't eat breakfast nearly as much because I have this job and have to be up way too early to do it, which means I haven't eaten all day, which means I'm absolutely starving after reading this article that was just released on flatwaterfreepress.org by our next guest, Sarah Baker Hansen, SBH. You're killing me over here. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. You should eat some breakfast, man. How do you do that?
You know what? I used to, sometimes I'll have an Uncrustable every now and again, like right before I get to the studio. But truth be told, I get home at 11:15, 11:30, and then I eat.
So then you're just in for lunch.
Yes, essentially. A late breakfast, early lunch, if you will, with my third coffee of the day is kind of what we're rolling.
You're ready to roll. I've had 0 coffees yet today, so I'm gonna do my best here.
Whoa, I have a problem. I'm on the energy drink plus a coffee a day type deal.
Wow. That's intense.
Don't tell my doctor. I don't think Dr. Mass will be too happy about it. Speaking about your work, you are still on Steaktown, USA.
Yes.
Rolling along. You know that every time I read this article, seriously, no matter whether it's the first ones you did Jericho's right, and then you did Garatz.
We did
earlier.
Brother Sebastian.
Yes.
We did Committee Chop House.
Yes.
We did 801 Chop House. And this week we are at a pretty brand new steakhouse for Omaha.
Pivot Prime. So I'm telling you, right? I think this is, and I've read the Steaktown USA articles because you come on here and we talk about them. I think this is my favorite one that you've done.
That's so nice.
It's an incredible combination of great writing, but also my mouth is watering listening to this because we've talked about fusion before, right? In terms of you take ingredients from one maybe style of cooking or one ethnicity and you throw that into a certain type of dish. This I wouldn't call fusion as much as I would call it just damn good food. As Pivot, as you describe, is taking French cuisine and French techniques, but they're mixing it with pure American beef. And just reading this article, I'm just, like I said, Tommy is grumbling over here. I want to first talk about this. The vanilla hued candle at the table that you end up dipping your bread in. Can you describe that to us? Because I thought it was weird too. And then you told me what it was. And I was like, whoa, that sounds great.
Pivot Prime on their starter menu has a beef tallow candle. And so the whole top of my story really is a kind of an ode to the beef tallow candle, if you would.
Sure.
Sort of a very unusual experience, one that I've never had. Well, honestly, I can say I've never had one anywhere else in all of my travels, and certainly not anywhere in Omaha.
Sure.
So they're doing something really creative. Chef Joel Hassanali, who also is the chef at Salted Edge. I'm sure some of your listeners have eaten there since it also is newer and opened. And he had this idea for the beef tallow candle. He had seen it other places, so he started experimenting at home to make it. And so the entire candle is edible. It's flavored with beef tallow, of course, which is beef fat, and then bone marrow, a garlic, rosemary, and finished with some aged balsamic vinegar. So if you look at the photos on the story, you can see they bring it to your table unlit, they light the candle, and then they sort of let the candle start to melt, and then they bring a basket of bread, sort of like crusty bread, and then you dip the bread in the melted portion of the candle, which is, of course, liquefied beef tallow. And not only is it really fun to eat, it's really beautiful. It's very unusual. It's just, it's sort of like a next level experience. And kind of like it's described in the story, like it feels a little bit off. Like you're not supposed to do this, but here you are doing it. And then once you start, I think you really sort of enjoy this very cool and also really delicious experience.
So dry aging beef, they do this over at Pivot. For the listeners who may not know what dry aging is, I encourage you, if you don't know what it is, do not look it up without Sarah telling you what it is, because you know what I'm talking about, Sarah. People will look at dry aged beef and they'll see some mold and they'll see some furry parts and they'll see some maybe not very appetizing things, and you might think to yourself, really, I'm going to eat that, right? Really, like that doesn't seem appetizing, but it truly is a way and an incredible technique of intensifying the flavor of beef. If you could describe for the people at home what the dry aging process is and how Pivot does it, that'd be great.
So it's really, it's actually a very scientific and very careful and calculated process to dry age beef. And a lot of steakhouses don't do it on site anymore. They rely on, partners or producers or butchers to do it.
Sure.
But Pivot is doing it. And it's the beef tallow candle, sort of this like creative, interesting and new side of the steakhouse. The dry aging cabinets, which are fully on view in one of the dining areas, are kind of like the very old school part of what they're doing. Because most steakhouses, in fact, a lot of steakhouses in Nebraska used to dry age, in Omaha even, used to dry age beef on site, and very few of them do it anymore. And so they're doing it. And like you said, it's sort of it can be a little bit alarming for people to see it, but it's also very cool to be able to see it. And different times of aging and different techniques of aging produce different flavors. And so that is really what the goal of it is, to be able to produce flavors, to use different techniques to age the beef, to intensify the flavor, or to pull out certain aspects of the flavor. Sometimes it's a technique used if, for example, the piece of meat has eaten something while it was alive, to bring out those kind of finishing flavors.
Sure.
So there's lots of different reasons that chefs do it, and I looked in that cabinet when I was visiting, and Joel's got some really interesting stuff going on in there, which I think we'll be seeing in the coming months as he brings it out of that cabinet and serves it in the dining room.
Yeah, it's one of those things. When I first saw the dry aging process, I'm like, "Whoa, really? Really? Like what the hell is it? You're just leaving this piece of beef like to just rot in a way, right?
Exactly,
For 20,
leaving it in a very controlled
sure, yeah.
environment.
But I'm just saying, from like a very like new, until I learned about it, the very noob way of looking at it, right? You're just placing it here, but they cut all that stuff off. And as someone I've been lucky enough to have some dry age New York strip. I went to Capitol Grill. Like the intensity of the flavors are so much different. I do want to ask you about this, because I know when people read it, they probably took a step back like I did. What are crack fries? What do they got going on over there at Pivot?
Yeah, so this is an example of where, the restaurant kind of steps away. So, the whole year of Steaktown, we're trying kind of a set list of dishes. And two of the dishes that we're trying, one is a loaded baked potato and one is onion rings. Well, Pivot Prime doesn't have either of those on its menu. So instead of the baked potato, we tried these sort of like, I would describe them as kind of wedge potato, like wedge fries, but they're fried 3 times. So this triple frying technique gives them almost like a texture that when you bite into it, the piece of potato or the exterior almost shatters in your mouth because it's so crispy. And then they're, of course, finished with, herbs, cheese, all the delicious toppings. And the name comes from not being able to stop once you start eating them.
Sure.
So they're very good. They're really, crispy, salty. They have all of those sort of textures that I think people really enjoy. And they're just a different type of fry than I think you would experience at most places.
So overall, just kind of, reading this article, it seems like they are, Pivot is putting together a lot of creative ideas, and they're putting together a lot of flavors, and they're being, they're going after it, and they're being incredibly aggressive. Do you think they're all the way there yet? Or do you think because this is a newer spot, they have some steps to take and things to maybe figure out as they become a place for a long?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be really interesting to see long-term kind of, we talked about the dry aging beef. I think that will really become a signature thing for them over time, especially because they can produce, different outcomes through that technique. And I know, we did try a dessert, Bananas Foster, one of my favorites, and I know a lot of people's favorite. And our version, the one that we had prepared tableside, wasn't quite flamed, I guess you could say, flambéed, and not quite enough. So it did have sort of a little bit of a heavy hint left over of alcohol to it. So that was kind of the one thing that I sampled that wasn't sort of, up to a very high level. But honestly, like, they are really not getting it out of the park in terms of originality, in terms of service. I thought that, the feel and look of the rooms was really nice. I mean, at the end of the day, they're entering what is a very crowded market in Omaha. And I think, they're doing a good job in their own way of kind of standing out from the pack of steakhouses in some pretty cool ways.
So we're now, is this number 7 for you now, correct?
I think this is 7. Yeah.
Okay. So we have,
we're at the halfway point.
We have, okay. So we have, or is it going to be 14 total then in terms of the Steaktown USA?
Well, I think we were going to do, I think there's going to be 12.
Okay.
And then there's the 4 stories that will take place outside of Omaha. And so I've written 2 of those. So gotcha. I don't know. I can't remember if we talked about it or not, but a few weeks ago I had a story come out about Chances Are, a steakhouse in York, Nebraska.
Okay. And how was that? How was that restaurant?
It was great.
Okay.
Yeah, York has been home to Chances Are for nearly 100 years. It opened in the 1930s. And it's been family run by several families from York for that whole time. And it was really fun. I'd never been to Chances Are. I'd heard about it many, many times from lots of people. And, it's kind of smack dab in the middle of Nebraska and right off of I-80.
Sure.
And so it was kind of a cool story about how not only does Chances Are sort of has become over those years like a big part of the York community, but also for travelers has really become kind of, I guess, what you could call like a pit stop, halfway point in Nebraska. People driving along I-80 kind of make it a destination to stop for lunch or dinner. And I didn't get to try this, but apparently they have an absolutely legendary buffet at Chances Are, and they are known, at least I would say at the very minimum statewide, for their prime rib that's on that buffet. So if you find yourself on I-80 and you're hungry, Chances Are, been there for a long time.
Chances are you're going to find a good cut to eat, right?
Well, that's the origin story of the name, Chances Are, is actually in that story too.
Okay, that's incredible. I'm a seafood guy.
Yes.
I went ahead and I marked another place off my list. I went to 76th and Cass over by Smitty's Garage, Seafood Unity.
How was that?
Have you been there?
No.
Okay. So it's a like Cajun crawfish crab type place where they do like crawfish boils. Good, not great. I was lucky enough to go with my friend Michael Sevier,
who, I know him well.
New Orleans man, knows all about the crawfish boils, knows all about how you're supposed to do it. I'll say this, Sarah, the sauce was incredible. So what they do is we ordered a combo that came with crab, the crawfish, shrimp, potato, and egg and corn. And it fills you up and it's really tasty, but they don't. So what Michael was telling me was they don't season the water. They only boil and then they put the sauce on. And then so when you pull out the crawfish tails aren't seasoned. You have to dip it back into that sauce, which isn't like, that's not necessarily like the best thing to do, but when you dip it back into that sauce, it's incredible. Incredible.
Well, you went with the right guy. I can't imagine anybody who would know more about it than Michael.
I did it. We did it incredibly well. We had the calamari. The calamari was a little too tough, for my liking, but I definitely recommend it. And also too, what we did is we got the $65 combo and then we split it. And we were both knackered after. It was incredible. So definitely a recommendation.
Okay. I'll put it on my list.
Before I let you go, do you have anything to get? What is coming up next on the Flatwater Free Press? Are there any new places that you've checked out recently? Is there any just updates in general? Just let you plug anything and give us a little tidbits, if you will, before I drop you here.
First thing I wanted to mention today was later this morning, the Flatwater Free Press Omaha newsletter comes out.
Okay.
If you're not subscribed, you can sign up at flatwaterfreepress.org. It features my food review, and I also have another little sort of tidbit in there this week under their What I'm Into, which is all their reporters and editors and different folks, contributors, can write things that they're into. So I'm featured this week in that section as well. And then it's full of Omaha news, arts and culture news, my food stories, so all about Omaha. So sign up for that, completely free, like everything on Flatwater Free Press is. So wanted to encourage people to sign up for that if they haven't. And then we can just wrap it right around to the start. My next review coming out is going to be about breakfast. So
hey,
it'll be the perfect time to talk about that when we next connect.
Nice. Okay. Can you tell us where you're going, or are we?
I can't tell you.
Okay. All right.
I can't tell you that yet, but
All right.
I can promise that you're going to be excited about it.
Okay. I can't. What a tease, Sarah Baker Hansen. I think we might end up having you on game week. The next time we have you on might be during the Husker kickoff show on August 28th. So that will be one hell of a time.
We're going to have a lot to talk about.
We'll have a lot to talk about. We might have, you know what I'm going to have you do? You can start thinking about this right now. I want you to start thinking about compare important Nebraska football players to breakfast items. That would be incredible. Who's the sausage?
I'm gonna need some help.
Who's the egg?
I'm going to need some help from my husband on that, but I'll do my best.
Okay. That'd be incredible. Sarah, you are the absolute best. Thank you for coming on. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. All right.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. So for sure, Dylan's bacon, right? And then no. I would say Dylan is the pancake. Okay. Because that is just the main dish.
Yeah.
Right. That is the main attraction. Then I would say Holgerson is the bacon.
I would do this with a hash. Like you have the egg, you have the
hash.
Cheese, you get the
okay.
peppers, onions,
Sure.
bacon bits and sausage, whatever you like to put in.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'll do.
Hash.
So I'll say that Dylan is the omelet, and then in our omelet we're gonna have ham, sausage, bacon, and cheese. Okay.
Okay.
The cheese is Emma Johnson. Ham, bacon, sausage, Hunter, Barney, Mills. Okay. Then we'll have a hash, and that'll be Lindenmeyer and Harburg. Okay. And then we'll have on the side of that corned beef hash. That'll be the offensive line. Secondary is bacon. Front seven is sausage. The cup of coffee is the coaching staff. I feel like it's a pretty damn good job.
You're making me hungry.
I'm making everybody hungry. Hungry for food or hungry for football? We'll find out next. Don't go anywhere. Listen to Gary and Matt. You Slow Ride might be the greatest Guitar Hero song of all time.
It's the easiest for me when I was playing it on the Wii.
Exactly.
It was always the easiest one.
Dude.
Either that or I think it was called Radio City.
Yeah. Or the
Did you know?
God dang
Did you know
what
Ozzy Osbourne did motion capture for the video?
Really?
Game? Yeah.
I did not know
There's
that.
videos of him actually doing the motion capture work for some of his songs.
I think it's something like Helping Hand or whatever. There's another great song. I love watching the YouTube videos of guys doing Freebird on Guitar Hero. Have you seen those videos?
No, I haven't. I've seen some of the videos where they attempt the impossible.
Yeah. When they go like 4 times speed on Freebird, it's like, it's absolutely insane.
On certain random songs itself.
Sure. Slow Ride. Hell of a song.
Yeah.
TNT.
Oh,
it's another like those are the child TNT, Slow Ride, and Get Back on It. Those are like the 3 childhood rock songs I grew up with. Get back on it. Real quick, some local shout outs here. It's in spending a lot of time talking about Lincoln and Nebraska football, rightfully so. You know, we're only 2 weeks away from the season. Bruce Rasmussen is going to be named to the Creighton Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him. By far, arguably one of the most, not even an argument, one of the most important figures in Creighton athletics history. I believe 27 years he was the athletic director and helped put together the incredible move of moving Creighton athletics from the Missouri Valley over to the Big East Conference. And so congratulations to Bruce. I feel like everybody knew that this honor was eventually coming. It's going to be coming. So congratulations to him. More than well-deserved and the impact. And we were talking about him a couple of days ago, just the fact that you kind of see the transition of what's going on, not only just in terms of the major conferences, but the mid-major conferences, and how we have so many of these mid-major conferences, people shaking and moving, and they're being disbanded, and they're becoming real victims to all this conference realignment and, other conferences trying to heal their wounds. And so congratulations to him, an incredible honor and a great job by the Grand Athletic Department for getting it done. I'm sure they're going to have an incredible ceremony for him coming up sometime in the next year or two. Also, yesterday was the Nebraska Broadcasters Association Awards. First off, shout out to John Baylor, the voice of Nebraska volleyball.
Yep.
He was the host of the NBA Awards.
Yeah, he's been the host. He was the host when I was there 4 years ago.
He was, I think that might have been his first year. I don't know. I think it was 4. This was either his 4th or 5th year being the host of the NBA Awards. Absolute stud. I'll tell you something right now. He's become a little more loosey-goosey when it comes to hosting these award shows.
Oh, yeah.
He was funny yesterday. He was cracking some jokes. He was talking to people in the crowd.
So when I won an award, I did a story on the 10-year anniversary of UNO dropping their football and wrestling.
Okay.
So this was after Trev Alberts left and went to Lincoln.
Sure.
So he made the funny comment saying that my story scared him out of campus.
He goes, "Hi." Oh, that was a Harry Carey. I can't do a John Baylor. I'm not going to do a John Baylor. Connor Happer does a great John Baylor, but he made some really funny jokes yesterday. So shout out, John. He had a little bit of little Jerry Seinfeld in him yesterday too. I don't know. There was some of that cadence. There's some of those good jokes. It was a wild night. Shout out Meg and Spicoli on Sweet 98 right here in the building. They took home best local radio show. Congratulations. It was a massive moment for Meg, a massive moment for Spicoli, a ton of hard work put into that. So congrats to them. And I want to give the most special shout out, the specialist shout out, if you will, to a woman who works here, who is incredible at her job, who, for me personally, being a new guy, could not have been more welcoming, could not have been more nice. She has taken me to a lot of events. I've been tied to the hip of hers at times, and she is an A+ human, and A+ at what she does, which is why Ruth McCauley took home Account Executive of the Year from the Nebraska Broadcaster Association. An incredible honor. Well-deserved, Ruth. So happy for her. Couldn't tell you more great things about her. Like, seriously, just an A+ human, A+ woman in this building. We're so lucky to have her here. So congratulations to Ruth McCauley taking home that award. Don't go anywhere. We got an hour left, man. Okay? Got an hour left. Gary's out. It's me and Joey. It's me and the King, Matt McMaster, right here. We're going to have a great lineup for you next week. Severe in on Monday. Caleb in on Tuesday. Caleb Henry in on Tuesday. Mike Schaefer on Wednesday and Thursday. Also, next Thursday, we're kicking off Red Out Week, which will be an incredibly special show, an incredibly special week. So that will be fun as well. God, you're getting me emotional here.
Very sentimental.
I know. If we had a longer, if I didn't have to get to break so quickly, I'd let, this stretch a little bit. But don't go anywhere. We're going to talk a little national college football stuff. There's one team that's getting disrespected, and I'm not going to stand for it. Okay? I'm not going to stand for it.
I can't wait to hear this.
I'm not going to stand for the disrespect. And there's one league that's getting too much leash, and I can't stand for it either. Coming up next year, Gary. Bum-bum. Boo-doo-na-na. Boo-doo-na-na. Boo-doo-na-na-na. Sorry. I'm supposed to do a radio.
You're just in the singing mood.
I am. Hey. Do you know what's I'm trying to think of a good transition into this. We're not gonna do transition. You can enter into the Kinda Like NIL sweepstakes. Kinda Like NIL $5,000 sweepstakes. Feel like a true MVP. Think you've got what it takes to cash in like the pros. 1620 Zone is giving you the chance to score big in the Kind of Like NIL $5,000 sweepstakes. Get ready to live like a legend, even if your highlight reel is mostly backyard barbecues and Monday morning meetings. One lucky winner will take home $5,000. No pads, no practice, just cold, hard cash. 1620thezone.com to sign up for the Kinda Like NIL sweepstakes. I am currently looking for the announcement that
Are we
the
still
Big Ten is supposed to make today.
Still waiting?
I currently do not see it.
Yeah, that would be from the conference
Looking
Twitter
through,
account.
yeah, looking through my notifications. I think it's probably just going to be a rebrand, right? I mean,
That's what I was thinking it could be. We're probably not going to see it until around the afternoon, so probably my guess 11 or noonish. So during probably the Happer show is my guess, or unless they want to extend it for those out in the West Coast, those 4 schools, or
Sure.
in Washington, USC, UCLA. You never know.
I think they're going to
expect it later in the day.
be interesting to see what it is. I don't think it's going to be anything big because I don't think you really go ahead and
Well, if
like,
it was something
tease
real,
that.
if it was something really big, then you'd probably get some beat writers or
let's say
reporters.
Thamel or Nakos or someone
Yeah,
like
just
that
kind
would
of
probably be
Brett McMurphy might try to leak it out or something before the actual news is announced by the conference. Never know.
You excited for preseason football this week, Joey, or is the allure kind of?
I mean, I said this several times. Preseason football is stress-free for
Sure.
me. I know watching that first Packers preseason wasn't so great because there was a lot of mistakes in all areas except for a couple players, and pretty much except for the kicker and the punter. Special teams still did not look good since an experienced player from the Kansas City Chiefs was returning punts and did the complete opposite of what was told. Don't return your punts from the 4-yard line and secure the football. Don't muff them.
Sure.
But yeah, it did not go too well. And then obviously Jordan Love hurts his thumb on the final play, gets sacked, and had a little operation. So he's shut down for the rest of the preseason leading up to week 1.
Yeah.
Season opener.
It should be
against the Lions.
fine.
He'll be fine. At least it's the left hand. It's not the right hand.
Seems like we haven't had too crazy of a run on injuries.
No, not
especially
really.
to key position players. We haven't had.
Well, the Packers have been a little banged up in certain areas on the team. I'm not too sure about elsewhere.
Sure. Well, I'm just saying, like, you don't have Saquon is out for the year.
Yeah.
CMC is out for the year. Knock on wood, if you're with me, bro.
Yeah.
But we haven't had, oh my God, my fantasy football team is screwed type of injury yet. The Chargers seem like they have kind of gone through the ringer in a way.
Yeah.
Slater is out for the year. Mekhi Becton, their newly signed guard who came from the Eagles, he's a little bit banged up right now. And then I guess Najee Harris, his status is questionable heading into the season to begin, which will be interesting with Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris both taking carries. Another interesting running back kind of duo will be on the other side of the country. Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren. They'll be sharing carries as well. I don't think they've gotten Pittsburgh. I don't know. I've heard a lot of rumble. Like, people are very overconfident with Pittsburgh right now in terms of how they're going to be.
Speaking of Pittsburgh, I don't mean to go off topic, but
go ahead.
I saw a picture of Aaron Rodgers and Nico Harrison.
Really?
Yeah, just having like a casual lunch.
Like the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks?
I was seeing stuff about that on social media. I'm like, what the heck is going on? What's Nico gonna do?
They're both weird guys who've made very questionable decisions over the last couple of years.
They might get along
very well. I mean, if we're talking about people who made pretty controversial decisions and said some controversial things. They both are very good at not backing down from some of those
We all
things
could
that
agree
they
with
said
that.
or did. So that's you know what? It doesn't shock me whatsoever. I don't know. What are your confidence level that Aaron Rodgers is going to pull off a Brett Favre? And what I mean by that is
Have it that 1
go to-
year with the third
yeah,
team.
well, wasn't it like 2 years with Favre? I feel like Favre was pretty competitive with Minnesota for a hot second.
Well, just for that first season, because 2008, just remember he went to the Jets and had that
So,
8-8
exactly,
record. And
exactly.
Then he moved over
Then he goes to
Minnesota, and then that first season went perfect, except
Yes.
for the NFC Championship game
against the
where
Saints.
he threw the interception.
Was it the Saints?
Yeah, it was the Saints.
Yeah. So I
The
thought.
Bounty Gate game.
Yes, Bounty Gate game, correct. And then they made a Kevin James movie after it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Favre had one more season. I think 2010 was his last season. He kept getting hurt. And that was
Have you seen the Kevin James Sean Payton movie?
No, I have not.
I'm tempted. Have you seen this Ice Cube movie, by the way? Have you seen this?
No,
Have you heard about it?
I have not heard.
Apparently, Ice Cube made like the worst movie of all time. You want to look that up. It's I forget what
I've
it's
heard
named.
of worse movies. I didn't
no,
think that
I'm
would be
pretty
next-
sure it's like the worst movie ever. So it's like you ever watch that episode of Modern Family when they're doing like
No.
a FaceTime episode? Okay,
No.
that was quick. You've never seen Modern Family?
I've seen bits of it, but I did not get invested with that show.
Sure. Neither did I, in all honesty, but I don't think I can say it. You know, Craps Creek?
No.
Okay. It's the other word for crap that I can't say on the radio. That's Creek. That was a show that I'm familiar with only because the people in my house watch it. Same thing with Modern Family. Anyway, I think let me look this up. Ice Cube bad movie. What is it called? War of Worlds. So essentially it's like a movie that is just fully on like a FaceTime set. Like you're just looking at FaceTime the entire time. And apparently it is like the worst movie of all time. And I'm very excited to like just spend a weekend and just kind of sit down and relax and just laugh at how bad. Because I think my favorite movies are bad movies. I love a bad movie.
If you want to watch a bad movie, I've told several people about this. Watch The Room.
The Room.
With
Have you?
Tommy Wiseau.
Okay.
There is a movie on the making of that movie.
Wait, is The Room? That's the one with James Franco made that movie, right? The
disaster
yes.
artist is the movie that was on the making of that film.
of The Room. I didn't hit her. I tell you, I didn't hit her. I swear to God, that one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell of a movie. Talking about bad things. Let's talk about the AP preseason poll. I think if you've been listening to the show, you know I can't stand the preseason poll. I am vehemently against it. I think it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think we should have a preseason poll. I don't.
I do agree.
I think we should just go into the season and everybody's on a blank slate. And I think everybody has an idea of who is who, right? Like, regardless of Texas having the number one overall, being the number one team of the country, and Ohio State being the number 3 team in the country, we don't need those numbers to know that those two teams are great and those two teams are going to have a great matchup. Same thing with Clemson and LSU. Same thing with Miami and Notre Dame.
And I think those numbers are there just
for TV.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's going to be there for TV.
They're totally there for TV
because they'll know who wants or who's going to watch what.
But even
and why?
Even for like it just means so much more if Nebraska is 25th in the country as opposed to them being 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have that little number next to you, people are like, "Whoa!" It's an indication that you're having a good year. It's an indication that you're a competitive team. It's an indication that, hey, things are moving in the right direction. But I don't think we should have a preseason poll because I just think it skews our view. So I think it's even worse in college basketball because we go ahead and J-Man's got that the Craps Creek over in the YouTube chat of what it's actually called. I don't, even though I'm saying a TV show, I don't want to say that word. But what I was saying is that I just feel like we just put way too much stock into, like, recruiting rankings are important.
Mm-hmm.
Transfer portal rankings are important. I'm not going to say that they aren't because we have so many great people who come onto the show and who I'm friends with who go ahead and they talk to recruits and they do the prospect rankings. And it is important in determining the health of a program. If your program is consistently bringing in blue chip prospects, 4-star prospects, 5-star prospects on a consistent rate, there's no doubt that you have a healthy program. You're moving things in the right direction, and your message is resonating with the people it should resonate with the most with. And we're also not going to deny the fact that the teams who end up winning championships are typically having the best transfer, the best recruiting classes. But I think that the AP poll takes it a little bit too far. And I think we should not be like, one of my biggest gripes with what was happening with Alabama was, well, if Alabama was playing this team, who would be favored? Well, why would Alabama be favored? Alabama wouldn't be favored because of their previous results, because Alabama's previous results was losing to Vanderbilt, who had lost to Georgia Southern early in the year.
Yep.
And their previous result was being absolutely crushed by Oklahoma, who had a really tough season.
Terrible season.
Terrible season. So Alabama isn't being favored because they've won the games that they needed to win and they've performed week in and week out. Why is Alabama being favored? Because they have the most talent.
It's
because
their brand.
It's the brand, and it's the how many 5-stars do they have? How many blue chips do they have? More than likely, if Alabama can perform, they're going to beat Indiana. They're going to beat this team. But that's not football. Texas A&M had the highest recruiting class of all time. I think it was in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. You want to go? I think it's either 2021 or 2022. It was recruited under Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher is no longer the head coach of Texas A&M. Okay, so that's how much having a great recruiting class counts for you if you can't develop those players. So these preseason rankings, in my opinion, take that into account way too much. And what they don't take into account is good teams with returning production. Heading into this season, the top team with the most returning, here are the top 3 teams with the most returning production from last season to this season. Clemson, number 1.
Yep.
Arizona State, number 2. Illinois, number 3. Okay? And by the way, this isn't, because sometimes I get on returning production in terms of like, well, great, you're returning 20 starters, but your team was 6-6 last year. Maybe it's not a good thing that you're returning all those guys, a la Virginia Tech last season, because they brought back a ton of starters, but they were very mid the year before, and then they were mid once again. These teams, Clemson, college football playoff. Arizona State, college football playoff. Illinois, 10 wins last year, knocking on the door of the college football playoff. Maybe could have been in the college football playoff. They didn't drop that game to Minnesota earlier in the year at home. Had an opportunity to get there. Those are the 3 top returning production teams. They're ranked 4th, 11th, and 12th, respectfully. There are 0 teams in the SEC who are returning top 5 production this season. There are 4 SEC teams in the top 20 of returning production this season. They are Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Florida. They're not your those aren't your juggernauts. Those aren't your top teams. That's not your Alabama. That's not your Georgia. That's not your LSU, right? Like those are 4 teams that, people are high on and think will have, but those aren't your cream of the crop. Okay? And so to me, it's a lot of what if. It's way too much what if of like, what if these transfers work out? And what if these transfers fit in? And I'm not saying that Alabama shouldn't be ranked. And I'm not saying LSU shouldn't be ranked. But what I am saying is that because Clemson is in the ACC, we aren't giving them enough respect. We aren't looking at the right numbers. We rather look at the hypotheticals and the 4-star ratings and the 5-star ratings and the blue chip ratings, as opposed to what did you do last year? What are you returning? And what does your outlook look like? Okay. ESPN and CBS have released their All-American teams. On the CBS All-American teams, only 6 players aren't in the SEC or in the Big Ten. In the ESPN rankings, only 8 players out of 26 selected aren't in the AC or aren't in the Big Ten or aren't in the SEC. Okay. 3 of those 8 players are on Clemson's team.
Pretty amazing.
2 defensive linemen and Cade Klubnik, who I think is the best quarterback in college football entering this season. And then the other two, so then you have 5 more. 2 of them are from Notre Dame, which may as well be a power conference team. This rant is to say this. Clemson's the number 1 team in the country. Clemson's my number 1 team in the country. Clemson's my pick to win the national championship this year, bar none. Secondly, I know that we have to measure out teams based on the competition they play. I know that the SEC, in theory, has better not in theory. The SEC has got better competition than the ACC. The Big Ten has better competition than the ACC. At the same time, when Clemson is returning All-Americans, when they're returning the best quarterback in the country, when their wide receiver room went from being a weakness to begin the year last season to now it's a strength heading into this season, and it's bar none the best in the ACC. And by the way, they got this coach named Dabo Swinney, but yet we want to put a Ohio State team that's got a quarterback battle going on right now. We want to put a Penn State team in front of them who, yeah, Drew Aller's good, not against good teams though. Go ahead and look at how we played against Notre Dame. Go ahead and look how we played against Ohio State. I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where I like there's a certain line, and it's just like I don't know what Clemson has to do in order to cross that line to gain more respect. So I'll just sit here and I'll start banging the drum for them. And God, I hope they beat LSU now. Hey, we still got a really fun show coming up here. Last 40 minutes. Steve Sipple coming up next. Then we got Brian Edwards on the back end. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Gary and Matt here on 1620. What a hell of a song for one hell of a guest, a dynamite guest, if you will. It's Mr. Stephen M. Sipple of Husker Online and 93.7 The Ticket. Sip, it's just you and me today, baby. How are you?
Matt, you're solo?
I'm solo today.
Sorry, I couldn't talk to you today. You know, those situations at press conferences, I'm not going to bore the listeners with all this, but when you're there, like we have to turn around stuff so fast.
Oh no. I wasn't trying to start a convo. I just patted you on the shoulder. I just wanted to let you know that I was there.
But
I
no,
appreciate
I wasn't
you.
blowing you off.
Oh God, no. I did not think that 1 second. I have the awareness and foresight to know that you guys are doing way more important jobs than to talk to me. You're all good. You're all good.
No, I'm not suggesting that it's more important. It's just different.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
And I've ran into that with people for years where I always feel sort of bad where they think you're brushing them off, but no, I mean, it's not bad. We just got to go.
Oh, I get it. Well, you know what, Sip? I didn't even think about it, and I really do appreciate the fact that you addressed that because it didn't worry me at all. But it's very thoughtful of you, so thank you so much. You're the man. This is great because I love it when you come on because I feel like we're past the point of like having interviews. We just kind of have conversations, right? And I had this thought the other day, and I think you're more equipped to talk about it than I am because you were here, and I think you had a better grasp of the era than I did. But I don't think I'm too far off, and I want to hear your opinion on it. But I was thinking of the difference between Scott Frost's program and Matt Rule's program. And I feel like in Scott Frost's program, it was more so, hey, and I'm speaking in as if I'm Scott Frost, right? It was more so, hey, I'm this great offensive coach. I have this awesome offensive scheme. It worked in Florida. We're going to take players and we're going to plug them into the scheme. We're going to plug them into this offense, and then we're going to have a defense that's going to be competitive and that's going to keep us in games. But we're going to try and get these athletes, and we're going to try and score a lot of points in the Big Ten. And I look at Matt Rule's program, and I don't see any of that. And when I see that, what I see in Matt Rule's program is just, it's a culture. It's just a true culture. Hey, we're going to build a culture. Do you also see that difference? Would you agree with that statement? And do you think that Rule's model leads to more success in the long run?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think Frost, there was, as you were asking the question, I was trying to think of how I approach this. And one way would be, first of all, I know Scott pretty well.
Yeah.
So these things I say aren't just totally, without
merit.
Without knowing him. I'm not just, it's not all just total conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
I think Frost felt like he could, I think he probably still feels this way, that he can just outsmart people.
Sure.
So he doesn't feel like he has to outwork people.
Mm.
And I think also when you think you can just outsmart people, you might not pay as close attention to the overall enterprise like Rule does. When I think of Rule, I think of he pays so close attention to everything. It's not just, you know what, I got a great defense here, and I know and I know X's and O's scheme, and I can out scheme people, and the rest of it will fall into place. Not that Frost thought of it exactly that way, but sometimes I got that sort of impression that with Rule, it's more about the totality of the program, including what you alluded to, the culture.
Yeah.
But also with Rule, what I'm always impressed with Rule is he's big picture oriented, but he's willing to take advantage of Nebraska's resources at a high level.
Yeah. It's a great point.
He really is. Like he's hired a big staff. Now, for plain examples that people understand without going into the weeds, it's just the coordinator discussion.
Yeah.
He went out and got Dana Holgerson and Mike Eckler. And that allows him to focus even more on a bigger picture, where Frost was not a big picture guy. It wasn't like he wasn't mindful of it. Some people are just more mindful of it than others, and Rule's mindful of it at a high level. Doesn't guarantee anything, by the way. We'll see how it all works out. Rule's more of a, I guess the best simple way to put it in a quick radio interview.
Yeah.
Because Rule is much more CEO oriented than Frost.
How important do you think is like for Rule having a guy like Dannon to allow him to use those resources and not
say again?
How important do you think it is for Rule to have a guy like Troy Dannon who allows him to just spend that money to use those resources?
Yeah, I don't think that Rule can just do anything he wants.
Sure.
I don't want to portray it that way, but I think there's a, I don't know, was it a tough question. Dannon's not the type of AD that's going to sign off on anything. Definitely doesn't strike me that way at all. But it's important to have an AD and a head coach that are on the same page. But Matt, I will tell you, and I want to, you're younger.
Yeah.
And I can help you in some way. You don't have to have that. I always resist that conversation. You can have an AD and a head coach who aren't on the same page, and you can have a really successful program. You can. It can. Yeah. Osborne and Bill Byrne weren't really on the same page. But if you have not all the time for sure, and there were some deep philosophical chasms that that you would say I would never say Osborne and Byrne were God, it was perfect. No, it was not. If you have a strong enough football coach, leadership wise, everything wise, you can do it without being on the same page. And you can do a lot of stuff. I've seen it in various facets of this world where not everybody gets along, not everybody has the same they're not all pulling in the same direction, but somehow it still works. But with Rule and Dannon, they are, I think they're largely on the same page. But I would say this, they're both opinionated, strong guys. So they're not always going to be in total agreement on everything.
I don't think I would want them to be on total agreement with everything.
I wouldn't either. It would be a red flag.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of them would be a yes man then, that they would just be doing whatever the hell the other one wanted them to do. And I don't think you build strong, whether it be as the athletic department as a whole or the football program in particularly. I don't think you both have to have a strong spine. I think we can both agree on that. Like they both have to be strong-willed and get what they want. And I think you kind of alluded to it, right? There's got to be the give and the take in terms of sometimes Rule will get what he wants and sometimes Dan will get what he wants. And as long as they are collaborating and it's all about the vision you have for the athletic department as a whole, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with that.
Right. I agree with that.
You talk about the coordinators. I wish I was there. I was so mad I wasn't there. How was that Eckler press conference? I just feel like through the phone and just listening to it, like the energy is just different and the intensity is just different. And I found myself, and look, this is because I'm not too far removed from it. And I know it's cliche to say, but I feel like I listen to him and I'm like, man, I want to play for you.
Mike's like that all the time. If you talk to him on the phone, he's like that. So
that's crazy.
And remember, different perspectives.
Sure.
I've known Mike for a long time, going back to the Fellini years, so 2008. And I know him before. It seems like I might have known him a little bit before that, but for sure before then. So it strikes me differently than it strikes you.
Sure.
Because that's just the Eckler I know. That's he's like that all the time. That's the one thing I guess I could offer to this conversation.
Sure.
That's not just podium Mike. That's just Eckler. He's like that. If you called him right now, it's not this character he slips into at critical times. That's just the way he is all the time. So from that standpoint, it didn't probably blow me away as much as it blew other people. I thought he crushed it. I think he does definitely. He definitely elicits confidence And that's part of the reason he's successful. And when I say successful, what he did at Tennessee would suggest that he's maybe on the road to becoming one of the best special teams coordinators in the country if he's not already there. Right? This was a one person close to the program recently portrayed it to me as the most important hire rules made is Mike Eckler, not Dana Holgerson.
Yeah.
Mike Eckler.
So
he could make that case.
Let's have this discussion, because funny enough, I talked about that today on a segment and I posed the question, is one more important than the other? And kind of where I came down to is I think they just both need each other. Like, I think they're just both equally important, right? Because when you look at it, you can look at two games last year, Steve. You can look at the Illinois game and you can look at the Iowa game, and you can say if they had higher level special teams, they would have won that game, right? If they had a better understanding of how to punt return and in the Iowa game, and they didn't have that turnover, and if they just make the field goal against Illinois, they win that game. And you can look at two games from an offensive perspective. If you have Holgerson for the whole season, starting at UTEP, you could definitely make the argument that you could win at UCLA and you can win at USC. You can win both those games.
Yeah, I agree. Don't disagree at all.
I think it's one of those things where I love the symbiotic relationship that they potentially can have, but at the same time, wouldn't you all agree that this just comes down to, can you give the ball to Dylan at the final 2 minutes down one and he can lead you to a field goal? Can you trust Rule to manage the clock and manage the game in a way where it gives you an advantage whether you are down or whether you have a lead? Like, is it too simple to say that this team is talented to the point where every game is going to be close and it's just going to come down to like the last 6 minutes of the game in most cases?
In most cases, I'm not sure about. The only game I would say that I envision something like that is, of course, Penn State.
Yeah.
I don't envision it. I could be. You know what though? I did. You know what?
You can be convinced. Could you be convinced?
Well, I had the same thought going into Ohio State last year. I was like, well, I'm here. I'm covering this game, but I'm not going to be covering a game here. It's going to be a joke.
Sure.
Wasn't wrong. And so sometimes you're wrong. And I hope I'm wrong with Penn State. I could be dead wrong. And by the way, the way we look at both those teams could change pretty
1,000,000%.
It could change a lot before that game. But anyway, no, I think you're. I always hesitate I hesitate always with football conversations to simplify them at all. I mean, there's. So I don't quite look at it like that. Like, just get the ball to Dylan with 2 minutes left with a chance to win, and that's what it's going to come down. I mean, yeah, I think that's part of it, but football is.
It's way more complicated than that. You're totally right.
Yeah, it's complicated. So I think that's definitely part of it. And I believe that we're going to see a major. I think we'll see better coaching that's discernible even to guys like us, meaning guys that have never coached or played.
Yeah.
I think we'll see it. I think it'll be to guys like us. I think we'll be able to see, oh yeah, they're just better coached.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will extend late into games.
Do you have anything, this is such a simple question, but I just haven't asked it to you before. Do you just have like an overwhelming concern right now, 2 weeks out?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that?
Well, it's simple to me. We always talk about Nebraska, can they hold up against the run, against a good run team. I don't know where's pass rush coming from.
Well, Steve, I'm worried. Can I throw something at you here? Because those are two good points, but I get a little worried when they say, "Oh, John Butler's going to be aggressive," and the reason why I get a little worried is because you can blitz and you can gamble, but I hope the only way this team isn't getting pressure is by sending blitzes.
Oh, that's trouble. If that's just a red flag. No, nobody's ever said that though over there.
Sure,
that's how we're going to do it.
Sure,
nobody that means anything has ever said, we're going to get there by blitzing.
Yeah.
No, you're right. If you have to do things that are exotic and that's what you're hanging your hat on, that's just a big red flag. That means you're short personnel wise. I mean, especially up front. So no, I'm with you. Just get there with 4 if you can.
That's how you win football games.
And then it makes everything easy. That's what any coach would tell you.
I always think about the 2011 New York Giants and last year's Philadelphia Eagles teams when it comes to if you just have a front 4, you're going to be able to beat the best quarterbacks ever.
Yeah.
And so
it helps though. Now listen, scheme matters. It does. And doing different things with personnel, it obviously helps. And it can be a difference maker, but if that's what you're leaning on, then that's a red flag to me.
You have any red flags on offense?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not convinced. Matt Rule's very convincing about the running back room, but that's still I got to see that. I mean, they don't have a 1,000-yard rusher on the team. I mean, nobody's ever done it.
No.
So yeah, no, I like the way Emmett looks though. I do. Emmett. What I've seen, just 2 short viewings of practice and that long open practice, that's a good picture. He looks bigger and stronger, as he should at this point in this. He's a junior, he should, but he does, and he has some qualities that lead you to believe he could put up some numbers, and I mean, some of that too is his receiving ability. I think I had a discussion with another show where I suggested it's possible he could lead the team in receptions. He had 39 last year. What if he has 50?
Yeah,
that's the type of number that could lead a team. He's going to catch a lot of passes. I guess the thing with Emmett that I'll be interested in is red zone. How can they hammer away in the red zone with him? I'm not even talking necessarily deep red zone. I mean, Can you it's a 30, it's a 25, you just hand the ball to him and then keep handing the ball to him until you get in. That's the sort of things I wonder about.
Before I let you go here, Steve Sipple of Husker Online at 93.7 The Ticket. Last question, because we're talking about the running back room. Do you think there's going to be a point this season where you're going to be like, damn, Dante Dowdell could be really nice right now?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know because I don't know exactly what we're going to see from Mekhi Nelson.
Sure.
And even a guy like Vince Genatone I start to get sort of like if Genatone or somebody like that emerges as a guy inside the 5, like Dowdell, where you just knew, hey, Dowdell's getting in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do they have a guy? I don't know. That's a great point, and it can't be emphasized enough to me because I would sit up there during those games when they got inside the 5. I mean, that was Dowdell. He was so close. I mean, it's hard to find guys that are that explosive. He's not a great running back, but he's great. He is great in that situation. He is great in that situation. That's why he had 12 touchdowns, right?
Yeah. No, and that's why when it came to 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, you really didn't have any, lack of confidence until it came to the Ohio State game, unfortunately.
Explosive running back. That's what he is.
For sure. Steve, you're the man. Thank you as always. Always look forward to these conversations. We'll talk to you next week. All right.
I'm totally impressed that you can do a radio show on your own. I mean that. That's not easy to do.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it greatly. You're the man as always. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye. Stephen M. Sipple. We're going to rock the end of this show by giving you some picks, by giving you some money. I mean, a hell of an end of the show. We go from Steven Sipple to 920. We're going to put a little cash in your pocket with Brian Edwards. Coming up next on Gary and Matt. I tell you right now, when Joey Colbert is the MC on the ones and twos, you're gonna get some terrible karaoke singing from me because it's banger after banger after banger, and we got a banger of a guest as always from VegasInsider.com and MajorWager.com. It's Mr. Brian Edwards. BE, how you doing, my man?
What's happening, fellas? How we doing?
We're doing good. Just me today. No Gary. He is on a much needed vacation, so it's just you and me shooting the you know what, talking about our bets here. Now, I have a couple extra minutes with you, and you only got 3 picks. So before we get to that, just real quick, I want to ask you about this because you're my UFC.
I sent you another. I sent you another DM with a little late pick.
Okay. I'll go and look at that right now too. But I got to ask you real quick. When I look for that, your reaction quickly on the UFC and their new deal. I think the knee jerk is great for the viewer, maybe questionable for the fighter.
Yeah, I think it's great for the fans. I hope it's not a similar thing for the fighters, like when they first got it was Reebok, right?
Yes.
Before they went to Venom on the uniforms, and Dana is like, and I'm not a Dana basher. I mean, I like Dana a lot, but Dana's like, oh, it's such a great thing for the sport, and yeah, what they wear in the cage or octagon now looks better, but they lost all their sponsors.
Yeah, and
they were getting like $5,000 from Reebok for each fight. I mean, it was a enormous loss for the fighters. So I'm not. I mean, he vaguely whatever he said the other day about performance bonuses are going to go up. I mean, that's if you get a bonus.
Exactly.
I mean, so I hope it doesn't just hose the fighters out of more money. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, we'll stick to the UFC then because you got a couple last minute picks here. They're going to be in my hometown of Chicago. We've been calling for this since the moment I talked to you about. They need to be in more major cities outside of Vegas and Salt Lake. What do you got for? It's a pretty decent card. We got Dricus Du Plessis taking on Khamzat Chimaev. What are you looking at in terms of the main event? And is there anything on the lead up to the main event that you like as well?
Yeah. So in the lead up, let's go with Edson Barbosa as a -140 favorite against Drakkar Klose. Now, Barbosa's getting up there in age. He's 39, but he's still in pretty good form. I mean, he's won 2 of his last 3. He lost to Lerone Murphy, a decision, but it was fight of the night back in May of 24. So he's had a good little break, some time off. But no shame in losing a decision to Murphy, who's still undefeated and is in the co-main event of this card. And look, Klose is getting up there in age as well. He's 37, and he's off a knockout loss in this past December. And I just think Barbosa is the more established fighter throughout his career. Now, he's lost more fights, but he's been fighting for more than a decade, the top 10. And he's bounced around different divisions, and I just like Barbosa -140 here. I'm also going to go with Jeff Neal as a +200 underdog to Carlos Prates. Now, Neal's getting up there in age as well. He's 34, but Prates is 31. Not that big of an age difference. And Neal has fought a lot, just like Barbosa. He's fought a lot tougher competition. I mean, he's been fighting the top 10 of the division the last 6 years. Now, he had lost back-to-back fights until he beat Rafael dos Anjos last October. But he lost a split decision to Ian Machado Gary, who's only lost once ever, and that was to Shavkat Rakhmonov. And Neal gave Rakhmonov the toughest fight of his career until Rakhmonov fought Gary. But Neal gave Rakhmonov fifth in a 3-round war when Shavkat got the submission with 43 seconds left in the fight, and it was fight of the night. And before that, Neal had won back-to-back fights over Luque and Ponzinibbio. So I think this fight is mispriced. I mean, Prates is very good, but I mean, look who he's beaten. I mean, the best names he's beaten are Neil Magny and the Leech, and those guys aren't on Neal's level. So give me Neal +200 underdog. And then it's going to be a great fight in the main event, maybe fight of the year. I'm so looking forward to it. I got to have a bet on it. I mean, I could see you making a case either way.
Sure.
But I'm going to go Chimaev to win by submission, plus 145. 6 of his 14 career wins are by submission, 6 by knockout, 2 by decision. I'm going to go for him to win by sub, plus 145. Definitely can't lay the price.
Yeah.
Chimaev, that's way too expensive for me.
I love that Jeff Neal bet. I mean, Jeff Neal, wily veteran, very at one point knocking on the door at the top of the division. And like, he's not that far away from his prime of 32. He's only 2 years past that. So I like that pick a lot for me. Let's go to college football here, Brian. You got 3 picks right here. Let's start with this one first. Miami of Ohio at Camp Randall. I know Wisconsin, they need to get this win. I mean, this can't be a close game at all because they got one hell of a schedule after this game. What do you look at this game for?
Yeah, I'm going to go Miami of Ohio plus 17.5. They went 9-5 last year, but 3 losses to Power 5 opponents. Lost by 7 at Northwestern, lost at Notre Dame but covered, lost 27-16 to Cincy at Paul Brown where the Bengals play, lost at Toledo, no shame in that. And then they had a 7-game winning streak to get to the MAC championship game, and they lose to Ohio in the MAC championship game, but they bounced back, beat Colorado State 43-17 in the Arizona Bowl. They've upgraded a quarterback, in my opinion, DeQuan Finn, who had the great run at Toledo, and then he went to Baylor, and he won the starting job over Sawyer Robertson, but then he lost it, and Robertson took over and ran with it. But really no shame in that. Robertson's an outstanding quarterback. Mm-hmm. But then transfers back to the MAC. I mean, this is the guy that's got 32 career starts, 6,984 career passing yards, a 63-23 TDI&T ratio, and he's got wheels, 1,699 career rushing yards. Chuck Martin has 5 starters back from a defense that gave up only 18.8 points per game. They've got 3 of their top 5 tacklers back. They added 17 transfers. 15 are from Power 4 programs.
Whoa.
4 of them were 4-star guys out of high school, like wide receiver Deion Colsey, who comes over from Notre Dame. He played 44 career games at Notre Dame, and they've got guys from Michigan State, Ohio State, Mississippi State, Indiana, FSU, A&M, Stanford, etc. I like Miami of Ohio plus the 17.5. I don't know if Billy Edwards is the answer at QB for the Badgers.
Yeah, Billy Edwards solid in Maryland last year, but definitely not a superstar. Real quick, we got to let you go in 2 minutes, but we got to get these 2 picks in real quick. Don't know if you've been reading the Tennessee Volunteer training camp reports, but offense is not looking good, especially at quarterback. They play Syracuse week 1.
Yeah, I'm going to go under 52. Now, the number is 51.5. I would buy the half point for minus 120 juice, 52 being a key number on a total because it's 3 off of 49, a multiple of 7. So let's make sure we get 52.
Yep.
Tennessee's going to be great defensively. Gave up 16.1 points per game last year, 8 starters back. Syracuse's offense is going to be nowhere near what the level of Kyle McCord was last year. What was the third pick?
I think you were teetering on Buffalo, Minnesota last week, and now you're fully in on them.
Yeah, no, I love Buffalo plus 17. Got to buy a half point there. I don't know if I couldn't remember if we talked about that one last week.
Yeah.
How are we on time to talk about Buffalo?
We got a minute. We can do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So look, Buffalo, they also won 9 games last year. They won 7 by double-digit margins. Mm-hmm. They've got 9 starters back on defense. And look, Minnesota, PJ Fleck likes to run the ball. He's got a redshirt freshman making his first career start at quarterback. He's got Darius Taylor. So they're going to want to run it. And so the key to the handicap is Buffalo's run defense, and their D-line's their best unit. Phil Steele's national unit rankings have Buffalo number 44 in the nation on the D-line. They've got one of the best middle linebackers in America, Red Murdoch, second in the nation in tackles with 156, 16.5 TFLs, and led the country with 7 forced fumbles. In fact, he's got 11 career forced fumbles, 13th in college football history. They've got DN Kobe Stewart. He led the MAC in sacks last year at 9.5. Their 2 defensive tackles are preseason All-MAC. I like Buffalo plus 17.
You are the man, BE. We're going to make some money this weekend, hopefully on the UFC, and we'll get your update next week when we talk to you at the same time Thursday. You are the dude. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great weekend.
You too, Brian. That was Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com and VegasInsider.com. All right. Hell of a show, Joey. Did a great job.
Great show.
You are awesome. That was fun. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to some solo dolo Matt McMaster on Carrie and Matt. We'll see if I get a partner tomorrow, or it might be me and Peter Krenzer. You'll have to tune in to find out. That's been Gary and Matt. Connor Happer's show and the crossover coming up next.